Hey, drunk Napoleon, you keep on with them fucking boots and your ass gonna have blisters so bad you gonna have to be rolling around, scrooting around on the floor like a dog wiping his ass on your carpet. Hey-oh!
Welcome to the Bass and Brews podcast, your weekly distraction from other high-quality podcasts. And now, your host, Alex from Swamp Rat Fishing, and the co-hostess with the mostest, the Jabberhammer, Paul Roberts.
Merrily, life is but a dream. Row, hey-oh! Hey, you know what the funny thing? Damn it, Russ, I mean, we just spent 10 minutes in the green room, and Russ comes on right now and is in...
He went sideways.
He's in portrait mode, but still in landscape mode. He literally is using the first generation... There we go. And now we can't hear him. He's muted. We can't even hear him. He's muted now.
You got to back out, Russ, and come back in. Well, we can't hear you. Back out and come back in. This is the joys of running a show like live with no editing. But that's, dude, that's funny because we had it perfectly set up, and then as soon as you start talking, his whole switched over. So
hey, before Russ comes back on, I had a wedding this past weekend that we went to. Not somebody that I knew, Alex, if you'll let him back in. Not somebody that I knew. I kind of knew as one of my wife's ex-coworkers. And we
Does it work?
Yes,
it works.
Hell, geez.
Man, I didn't even touch the damn thing. I was just letting it be, and the next thing you know, I'm sitting on there sideways, and
dude, that was so funny.
my mic's not working.
No
I'm cursed when it comes to technology. I'm telling you.
Well, thank goodness that you fish better than you technologize.
Thank God for that.
I was telling the story about this wedding I was at, and so we got set with another coworker, and then this other three couples that were friends with I don't know, one of the people get married. I don't remember. Anyway, one of the guys was younger than his wife, and I told them that I was a podcast and TikTok star. And anyway, they got really excited. He got really excited about it, and his wife kept letting her phone on the table unattended. And so, you know, when you pick up a phone, you can hit the camera and you don't need a passcode to take pictures. So she's got about 50 pictures of me making duck face on her phone. But
just some random person that you met.
Yes.
Okay.
That happened to me one time, actually. I went and rode a bowl downtown it was a fake bowl at a bar down in Nashville. And I lost my phone. I was like, for like half hour at the bar. I realized half hour later, I'm like, where the hell's my phone? And I get it back, and all these people took all these pictures with it, and they left it at the bar.
Well,
So
that was when I was a wildland firefighter. That was a thing, but we didn't have cell phones that took pictures back then. That if you left your camera lying around, it was a really, really, really good chance that you were going to have your whole SD card, all 8 megabytes back in the day, full of shits in the toilet and pubic hair pictures.
Yep.
Or asshole pictures. I mean, you know.
There's some random dick pics.
Yep.
Yeah, it's exactly what it was. It was a great time. Thank goodness it wasn't on a cell phone because, you know, that shit got posted. Anyway, back to my story. The guy was there's a bathroom. There are like 120 people at this wedding. You go into the bathroom, when you walk in, there's a urinal and then a toilet. And he was at the urinal. And so I got into the toilet and I started tinkling and I started row, singing, row, your boat gently down. And I sang it, and I only know that one verse. Row, your boat gently downstream, merrily, blah, blah, blah. So I sang it like 3 times as I was going tinkle. And then when I was washing my hands, I looked over at him and was like, damn, man, you didn't like my song? You didn't even say nothing about it. And he didn't say a word or nothing. He was, I'm not sure what was going on.
How mad was Sarah? Would she just piss at you the whole day, the next day?
No, I reined it in. I really didn't. No offense. I really was not feeling good. We had a football game on at 8:00 that night. I did not want to go. Like, I wanted to stay at home, relax, get ready for the football game. And I really didn't even drink that much. But no, I behaved myself. I did not dance. I did not take my shirt off. You know, the worst thing I did was take pictures of some older lady's phone.
All right, real quick before we get to our guest tonight, I want to say thank you to everybody. The episode that released last week, the one with Smiley, you guys loved it. And maybe we got new viewers because that episode blew up. So thank you to everybody who listened to the episode, all the people that are coming over for the rebrand of the YouTube channel. Just want to say thank you. And somehow you guys like us and Smiley, but mostly us. And we really appreciate that. So let's keep it on. If this is your first time listening to the podcast, this is... man, you're in for a treat because we do have a big name on, so I expect us, to become famous because we have our guest on tonight, and we're going to be, short time famous, like a lot of views, and then they realize that we're just a bunch of jackasses, so they only listen to one episode and then never again, which I'm fine with. That's great. We're not everybody's cup of tea because we're mostly a cup full of shit. So go ahead, Paul. Paul was real adamant that he's the one that wanted to introduce you. He's being a real fucking princess about it on the text messaging. So go ahead, Paul.
Hey, I will like to say that my beard is very crab-like.
It does look like a crab. That's because you were. That's
You
because
should have left the braids in.
Exactly.
Russ, I was not braiding it. I was twirling it with my fingers, but because I got nut hair on my face, as a beard, I can.
It is a
blow dry it
little
and brush
little
it out.
straggly.
Exactly. If you were on the live, I was telling you before I started actually twirling it that if your man ain't shaved his balls in a while, you got all those little dangling.
You braid those next.
Yeah, I know, right? Hey,
Really
if
make
your
us
girl-
famous.
Yeah, I know. On air live. Hey, look, y'all tonight, for all the brewskis listening, we have Rus Snyders on, which is probably one of the top 3 kayak anglers out there. But what Russ doesn't know is, fuck his fishing, because what most people don't know is this man can build and rebuild a deck like nobody's business. I mean,
I've been doing that about as long as I've been fishing, I guess.
No, that's what I'm saying. We don't give a shit about no fishing tonight. Look, if y'all want to go listen,
I don't
to
build
Russ
them
talk-
too much. I mean, I have built them before, but I just clean them up and restain them and seal them and do
the
some
damn
board
last-
replacements.
2
and
hours
whatnot.
of it. That's all we're talking
Make
about
them
for
look
2
good.
hours.
building deck.
All right, let's
That's
do
it.
it. That's my second passion right there.
Do any of you
Actually, really
guys go on Reddit? So on Reddit, there is a subreddit, right? Like a page on Reddit called r/deck. And I saw a video on it, and then I had to go over to it. It's a subreddit where people will post pictures of their decks, and then it's just like 45 to 50 old men just fucking tear it apart. They're just like, look at that piece of shit. That's not regulation. What would you stain that with? Fucking red wine? Like, they just tear apart people's hard work. It is.
I'm quite
honestly
a critique too, and when I see my friends and stuff just doing it themselves and just making them just ruining their decks. I couldn't
Dude,
tell you how many times.
Listen,
Hey,
you
do
should
you
quit the
go-
Oh my
fishing zone.
God.
You go over to these people's house for a cookout, and you're like, "Hey, man, I ain't going on your deck." We know
All the
stay
time.
inside.
I'm so critical of it, man. It kills me. It kills me.
Look, I just want to let you know your deck.
Just
looks
don't
really
use
good.
Thompson's water seal. That's like,
Yes,
remember what
thank
everybody's
you.
like, oh, you got to throw some Thompsons on it. I'm like, oh my God. If I hear that one more time, I'm going to lose my mind. That stuff's garbage.
Or you're like, "Hey, man, this guy only toenailed in everything. There's no hangers. This shit's falling. If more than 10 people get on here, your deck's falling." Bro.
Yeah.
Sorry, real quick, I hate to interject. We forgot to do it at the beginning, and it's going to be an awkward time. But Bass and Brews this week is brought to you by Thompson Water Seal. Rus Snyders says it's the best in the business.
Highly regarded by Rus Snyders, professional kayak angler and professional deck rebuilder. Also, we need to make sure that people know, because as we drink more tonight, we are saying DECK.
Yeah.
Deck.
Yeah.
Not dick. Not pecker. Not Jimmy.
I mean, after a couple drinks, it might be.
Well, by the end of the night, we'll be showing some deck pics. No
Hey,
doubt.
Look, I've got some deck pics in my phone from back in the day. I mean,
I was about to say, Russ, you
Russ
fucked up.
probably has a whole folder full of deck pics.
Russ, you
man,
fucked
I
up
got a
and
whole,
gave-
I do.
You gave this man your phone number. You're going to get random deck pictures now.
Bring it. I love seeing them decks.
Yeah, hey, Russ. This is my buddy's deck he just redid. Give it a 1 to 10. 1 to 10 on this deck.
I'm telling you, man, you should quit fishing. Just be a pro deck reviewer on Reddit. You'll be fine. It'll be great.
Second career, hey.
I do a lot of TikTok, and I have yet to see somebody review people's decks. You should be a TikTok deck reviewer.
I don't know if I can be a TikTok anything, but if I was a TikTok, I don't know. I don't know about that.
Well,
You're into
dude, I could
TikTok.
just
What do you think of
imagine-
TikTok? You like it?
Oh, I love it.
God. Yeah,
Love it.
That's our. Alex brought me into TikTok, screaming, clawing, fighting for months, and then probably about not even this time. It was even later. It was probably January. I finally got on there. I'm like, holy shit, this is so much more fun than Instagram.
Yep.
It's fun, but I don't have enough hours in the day to, I got to get some self-control and just, otherwise I'm just scrolling. I'm like,
I know.
what time is it?
Yeah.
2 hours past
Yeah,
by.
and also their algorithm. So there was one day a week and a half ago I was bored, and it was right after the Rudd episode where we talked about Bigfoot, Nessie, and aliens. And I got on a TikTok thing where I was looking up like cryptids in the United States, and I was just looking it up. And then 2 days ago, I go to pull up my TikTok, doing my morning business. And it was nothing but fucking Bigfoot and skinwalker stories. And I couldn't fucking get out of it. I had
You
to
talk about it, and it's, man, they
dude,
listen.
it picked it up, and I had
What
to
is
like
Nessie? Isn't
clear.
Nessie Bigfoot? What's the difference? Isn't
No,
No,
Loch Ness
Nessie's
Monster.
like Loch Ness Monster.
Oh yeah. I knew it was another name.
All
for
right, so
something.
let's
What
start out
was-
the gate.
Yeah.
Let's start out the gate, Russ. Marry, fuck, kill. Either Bigfoot, aliens, or the Loch Ness Monster. Which one are you going to marry? Which one are you going to fuck? And which one are you going to kill?
Bigfoot. Do I have to give a reason why? I mean, I'm gonna have to.
No. You just
No, I
need
mean,
to-
you don't have to. We'll judge you either way.
I'm gonna marry Bigfoot.
Yeah.
I'm gonna kill. All right, what I got left. I got to kill and a what?
A fuck.
Fornicate.
Fornicate.
I'm gonna fuck an alien. As long as it depends on what the alien looks like. But
Hell
hey,
yeah.
got some long blonde hair on that end. Throw a wig on it. We're good.
Here's the deal.
He said put a wig on it.
Oh my God! Do you know what alien had a wig? E.T. had a blonde wig.
Yeah, she had a pretty
alien.
mouth.
There he goes to the barn. E.T.'s sitting there like, Russ, come home.
Hey, baby, want to see my dick?
Oh, man, poor Rus Snyders coming on a serious
What
podcast.
am I in for here?
I tried to tell you through all the text messages. I tried to give you all the hints.
I prepared myself. I got a drink now, and I had one before I got on here. So
I
we're
love
ready.
when we have a guest who's like done a bunch of podcasts before, and you can like kind of tell, like, you're like, all right, well, we'll go through the motions. It'll be a good time. But then when I asked you the marry, fuck, kill question, I could see in your face of like, oh, what the fuck is
Is that
this?
right off the bat with everybody?
No, that one. It's gonna be now.
Alright.
It's gonna be now.
The only scripted part of this is the shotgun.
I hate to kill the
round.
Loch Ness
Everything-
monster, though. I mean, there's only one.
Well-
I'd hate to be the one to kill it.
Well, so we discussed this in length on that episode with Alex Rudd, and I think we came to the decision that Loch Ness. There's probably a bunch of them. It's just that one's stuck there because it's fucking stupid.
As
And I
long
got
as there's
caught in
more
that
than
link.
one. Yeah, as long as
Yeah.
there's one. I'd hate to be the one to end a species,
Hey, if you caught Loch Ness, like, would you eat it?
I'd give it a try. I'd give anything a try.
I'd deep fry the hell out of it.
Try to taste a little like bald eagle, right?
Jabberhammer's bringing a little North Carolina to Ireland as he's out there doing a fish fry of fucking Nessie.
Look,
Oh,
I mean,
man.
it's like largemouth bass. I mean, the best tasting largemouth bass are 8 pounds and above.
That's gonna hurt
Crickets.
some feelings there.
Crickets. Yeah. That opinion is not the opinion of the Bass and Brews Fishing Podcast.
I'll
we
eat
will.
some river smallmouth here and there, especially if
Oh,
I'm camping out. I'll get some criticism for it, but them suckers taste good.
Hey,
Especially those
look.
clear water, little spring fed
Yeah.
smallmouth creeks. Man, they just feeding on them crawdads.
Oh my
They're
God! Look,
tasty.
look. Here's the deal: is there the biologists will tell you not enough people are eating largemouth bass or eating bass in damn, excuse me, holy shit, that's stuck up on me. Or eating bass in general. Like we are not eating enough bass. When you catch 25, 12 to 14 inches, like you need to be keeping your limit
Especially
and
those
eating them
lakes with the
bastards.
spotted bass. Those
Yeah,
lakes
oh
Yes.
where
yeah,
a
yeah.
lot of times you hear like a
Mhm.
lake will have mostly largemouth and smallmouth, and all of a sudden some spots got in there and they just take over. They should be
Mhm.
Well,
common practice to feed on
yeah,
those little suckers.
Lake Norman here in North Carolina, Queen City. I'm not sure if they're doing it this year. I think they did it last year, but they've done it before, where they have a birds of prey rehabilitation center, and they will go out and they will keep all of the spotted bass that they catch because they're Alabama spotted bass, right? The bad ones that have taken over that lake, and they keep all of them and they donate them to the birds of prey rehab, and that feeds all those birds there. So it's a really good thing, and it's trying to help. But regardless, what we're trying to say is we need to eat more bass. Now, I am not advocating for eating bass over like 5 pounds. I say that a lot on here, and I have done it, and they are very tasty and delicious. But we do need to keep more bass fishing. We sure enough do. We're hurting the population by throwing all these little bitches back because all those little bitches make nothing but little
Especially,
more bitches.
especially all the bass boat tournaments. When you see them, they weigh them in, especially in the summertime. A lot of them end up dying and
Yep.
just floating around
Mm-hmm.
at the ramps.
Yep.
Like,
You
man,
might as well fucking eat them at
I
that
might as
point.
well eat them. Yeah, it's like whenever I catch a fish, I'll keep fish. Especially I'll go back out west and go out ocean fishing and bring back a bunch of fish. And I got people, I bet people at times ask me, to give them some fish, and I tell them like I'll give you fish, but if you don't, I'm gonna be pissed off if this just ends up sitting in the freezer for a year. If I give
That's
you,
right.
I hate just wasting life. I'm gonna kill something, man. You better eat it, because otherwise it's
Mhm.
just wasting life for no good reason.
Hey, I'm all for that. If you're gonna keep it, you damn well better eat it. And we
Hey,
Yeah.
want to
so
do
back
more
to
of it.
Nessie. How big of a catch board do you think you need for that?
It's a 50 foot. It looks like a brontosaurus in the water,
Do
right?
you think you'd get a
What big do you
penalty
think
for
fit?
having an open mouth as you tried to lay that big bastard down on a catch board?
I mean, open mouth is open mouth. You're gonna get at least half inch.
I'm gonna try to find like a plastic Nessie toy, and I'm gonna join a tournament, and I'm just gonna put that on the bump board for every fucking picture.
Hey, make sure you're cutting the tail off every time you put it in there too.
I'm gonna cut the tail off, and I'm gonna put weights in it too. I'm
So
just
it's
gonna do fucking all of it
fish
together.
every time. Well, hey, we will finish introducing our guest. It's Rus Snyders, great kayak angler. People people that kayak fish or listen to kayak fishing podcasts know who he is. He's won so many tournaments he doesn't even get invited on as a winner on the tournaments anymore. They just skip him over. But he is also, as we've referenced
Certain
earlier, a
podcasts.
great deck builder, and he's on the
Not build
podcast
or
now.
restore. I don't build them. I'll make the old ones look good.
But you
He's
gotta
like the
tear 'em
plastic.
down.
No.
You gotta
He's the
all right,
plastic surgeon of decks.
that is a great analogy right there.
I like it.
You're a deck plastic surgeon.
Build them back better. All right.
Well, this
All right.
is Rus Snyders, everybody. Everybody clap.
Well, I appreciate you guys.
Wait, was that the intro that you were so fucking excited for?
I don't know. You ruined it going in off on Nessie that ain't even a real thing, and neither is Bigfoot. And aliens, if any of them are not real, aliens are the most not real out of all of them.
No,
I don't
again.
know. I watched this
Again,
thing on
yeah.
that just came out last night. I watched this thing on aliens. I forget what it's called, but they interviewed a bunch of people, like 4 different episodes. They interviewed some I guess in Texas a couple years ago. There's a bunch of aliens sighted there, and man, those stories add up. I'm like, I don't know if it's aliens that they saw or what, but those people weren't lying about seeing something. I know that.
All right, all of your alien and Loch Ness, or all of your alien and Bigfoot shit comes from the Pacific Northwest and the Southeast. And that should tell you all the fuck you need to know.
What do you think's
about how
most
real it is.
likely? What do you think is most likely to be real between Loch Ness Monster, aliens, and
Yeah.
and Bigfoot? If there was a
Alright.
likelihood of one of those being real,
None of
it
them are not
has
real.
to be aliens. It
None
has
of
to be,
Aliens.
in my opinion.
Aliens.
No, none of them are real now, but the one that was probably real in the past, well, Bigfoot was probably the most recent real one. But Loch Ness probably was real because it's a fucking dinosaur, and
Yeah,
we
no.
know those bitches live.
100%. But aliens are real too. You're going to tell me out of all the planets and all the there's nothing else. There's just us sitting on this blue rock. That's it.
I
There's
will
nobody
tell
else.
you, no. Is there life out there? Yes, 100%. Because there's 10 to the 100 millionth percentages thingies at the top when you do your math of planets and Earths out there. I don't think that they're fucking ETs though, and they sure as shit ain't coming to America.
Yeah. No, I think
and butt raping
To
all of
America.
the rednecks out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, that's all I got to say.
I think they're sitting up there. They had a pretty quiet Friday night. And they're like, "Hey, Glib Glob, I'm bored. All right, you want something to do? Let's go shove some shit up this fucking hillbilly's ass." And they get real excited about it, and that's kind of what they do for fun.
Hey, let's go fuck with some humans.
The
down
only
in
one
America.
I watched that Netflix. The only one that got the anal probes was the people from England. I guess was it Texas and England. They spot some aliens over
it
in
happened in
Fukushima.
Texas.
No,
it happened in
Wales. It wasn't that in Texas.
Dude, it happened in Texas. They were just afraid to admit it. They were like, "Hell no, I ain't getting nothing in my butt. Are you kidding me?" And he walks away like he just rode a horse.
Yeah, I think the most recent definitely was Bigfoot. Probably existed back in the day. Loch Ness definitely existed 50 million years ago. And aliens, there's never been an alien step foot on.
Again,
What
Jabberhammer's
about-
opinion. It's not the opinion of the Bass and Brews
What
podcast.
about what, Russ?
There's all that footage of the military seeing all these spaceships flying around and stuff. I don't know. Maybe it's just to distract us, but I don't know.
No, I
There's
think they're real.
more. There's a lot of talk about it these days. A lot of talk about it. I don't know what's. I'm not
And-
saying it's real or not,
Yeah.
but it's interesting.
Ain't nary one of them real until we got a body or one in a fucking cage.
Yeah.
We
That's all
did.
I'm saying.
Remember, Mexico had that fucking paper mache looking
Roswell.
motherfucker.
Yeah, no, that was debunked. That
I
was
know.
all lies.
Bob Lazar. What's his name? Bob Lazar.
Yep, Bob
This is from
Lazar.
Joe Rogan with Bob Lazar on there. It's pretty convincing.
It's pretty
stuff.
convincing. Pretty convincing.
All I'm saying, if the aliens are listening, they're definitely listening to this podcast. Come up with me.
Send us
I
a
promise
sign.
you. I promise
Beam me
you
up.
Yeah, look, I ain't going without a fight. One of them's getting bit. At least one of them's getting bit and killed. Like, I'm fucking somebody up before you take me. But come take me. I'll go out my backyard. Come on now. Bring
I was
me.
about to say, honestly, Russ, you're the last one they're going to take. You win at things. Me and Paul are fucking losers. They're not going to bring the fine specimen of kayak fishing that you are.
So if you guys got an opportunity to meet, somebody said, all right, you can meet an alien
Yeah.
face to face, but the only thing is, like, you're going to be all right. You're going to live through it. They're not going to harm you in any way, but you're going to get an anal probe. Like, would you do it?
Nope. No, negative.
Yeah, I'd do it. I'd do it.
Not me. No way.
Nah,
You're going to be all right. Like, no side effects of it. No,
Yeah.
none of
It's,
that.
nope. Still something went up
I
my
don't know.
butt, and I am going to live my life without that happening.
Listen, when you join,
But you can have proof that there's aliens are real.
exactly,
Like,
exactly.
man.
Think of all the talk shows you could do, the Joe Rogan show. You could do all of that. You know what I mean? Listen, when you join the military,
I'll
you
be
have
the
to
guy
go.
That said no. I'll be the guy that said no and still be famous.
You have to go through like a physical examination before you even go, right, to boot camp. And you basically strip down in your underwear and you got to do this crab walk thing. As in my case, it was just some like 80-year-old man sat on a stool as you crab walked. And it was to make sure your knees were good. And then when you got done, you had to turn around, drop your pants, and bend over. This old dude used the end of a fucking Sharpie that had a glove on it to like look into my butthole. I'll be all right if aliens want to, put a little.
So this is Alex. We were talking about a week or two ago. You were talking about how the Coast Guard is having a problem recruiting people. This
That's
is the
why.
fucking reason
That's
why.
why.
It's because they're sticking Sharpies up motherfuckers' buttholes after making them do a duck walk. Like, I mean, come on. Don't nobody want that shit. It is not worth your $30,000 GR.
I just want to see Paul being a counter protester in front of a recruiting office, and it's just got a sign, and it says they're going to put something in your butt. Don't do it.
Well, Russ, getting back to fishing, because we know this podcast has fishing in its name, and we don't talk a lot about fishing, but we do want to touch on some of your most recent tournaments. What's been going on in the tournament world of Rus Snyders?
Had the last few weeks off, actually, which has been nice. This tournament coming up is a big one for me. So that the fifth and final tournament for the Bassmaster series on Susquehanna. Doing some prep work for that, making some jigs and tying some lures, and just made a big tackle warehouse order, and just taking this time to get things in line, make a little money, restoring some decks and whatnot, and last three or four tournaments. I've been in a little bit of a slump lately, since all summer, really. Last maybe 4 tournaments haven't done good. Since I did good in the Bassmaster in the cross, I got a second. I think the next 3 or 4 after that, I kind of shit the bed a little bit, but yeah, I'm otherwise it's been a good year for sure. Got 3 more tournaments. I got the Susquehanna for the final Bassmaster. Hoping I'm first in AOI for that right now, and I got about 4 or 5 guys that are still in contention. 4 or 5 guys that are still in contention. So I just need to. I want to finish strong, and I'm gonna work really hard to have a good finish in that last tournament. Last time I was up there, I didn't do too well. So, I feel like the river tournaments for these kayak tournaments, those are like, even though I love river fishing, I do a lot of river fishing, those are some of the most difficult ones.
Yeah.
Really are. There's just so many of those anglers that's all they've done their whole life. They've been kayak fishermen, they've been river fishermen their whole life. I feel like rivers are the one tournament, like if you take, a handful of the top elite series guys or any of the guys from the bass boat world, and you put them on a kayak tournament on a lake that they're familiar with, like there's a good chance they're going to be one of the favorites to do well or get a check at least,
Yeah.
But you take those same anglers or whoever you want from the elite series and put them on a river tournament out of a kayak. It's like good luck thinking that you're gonna have an advantage, because there's so many really good river specialists, and no matter who you are, they're really hard to beat.
And on the Susky, you're going to have a handful of the Susky guys that live up
exactly.
there, that fish the hell out of it.
Is Jake fishing that one, Paul?
Yep. Yeah, he'll be there, I'm sure.
Jake's there. Yeah. I don't know. He took that nasty fall with that big fat ass of his, and I don't know if he's ready to get back to the kayak.
Is he all right? What happened?
Dude,
he see that? He was trying to load his kayak up. He's got a blow up kayak on a trailer. What a pansy. But anyway, he stepped off the tongue of his trailer and was trying to walk from the tongue to the driver's side, and whatever ramp he was on, I guess, had a bunch of balsa and shit on it.
It is so
and
funny.
He slipped in the water, and it took him like 30 seconds. You got to go watch the video. Everybody go watch.
No, I'm going to pull it up right now. I'm going to actually try to input it into the.
We got to watch this because it was comical to no end. Like, when he got home, his knees were probably so wore out that when he got home, his wife probably asked him what he'd been doing because she knew he was fishing. But yeah, it was those there's gonna. I
hope he's all right though. I hope he's all right.
He's all right.
Fine. I mean, look,
dude, he's got enough cushion back there. He'll be okay.
Yeah, if he got too deep to stand up, he was gonna float. Because poop floats, most of it.
And he is shitty. I would say ask him for some advice, but he came on the show and broke down the Susquehanna, and he did okay, but not that well afterwards.
No, he ended up doing good. Yeah, we usually have Jake on, so we've had him on last
2
year
years
before
now.
the Hobie, and then this year we had him on before the it was between the Native Power Hour. We had him on right after that, and then what was the Hobie wasn't there. I think that anyway. I can't.
It was like
but
3
anyway.
tournaments,
Yeah,
all
two
within the
tournaments.
same time of us releasing.
We usually have him on to talk about the Susky because it's people want to listen to Jake talk about the Susky, so they do pretty good.
Yeah, he fishes it all. I mean, he's out there all the time.
Well, yeah, he was on live this
He's-
morning out there fishing, giving all the spots and lures away.
Also, this man just doesn't work because I just see him on TikTok live.
Isn't he a
fucking
police
fishing.
officer?
He's
he
like
retired,
a
didn't
rent-a-cop. No, he's a rent-a-cop, I think.
Oh, easy now.
No, he's like a rent-a-cop. He works at the mall.
Jake Bart.
Yo, Wolf of Walmart. We need a meme with Jake Harshman's face on Paul Blart's on the Segway. Hold on, I'm downloading it now. I'm about ready to pull it up.
Alex is doing that. So, Russ, you've qualified for the Bass Classic at this point, I'm assuming, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Okay. Did you fished Hobie? Did you qualify for the BOS?
I qualified for the
TOC?
championship. I had a rough
Okay.
year, and this is by far the worst. This is for a series, any of the series that I've ever fished between Bassmaster, KBF, and Hobie. The year I had for Hobie this year was not good. I mean, I qualified. I think I finished probably it has to be in the 20-something place, and I fished a
that
lot
is
of.
bad.
I think I only missed 2 tournaments. I think so. They had 9. I think I did 7 out of the 9. Had only one good, 2 good finish. I got a second at Sandy Cooper and like a 13th at Caddo, and then everything else I think was like 35th and below. So it's the other 5 tournaments. I had a rough year in the Hobie series. There's so much wit, man. Yeah. I mean, I have a pedal drive.
TOC.
I made the TOC. I already qualified, and some of those tournaments were because I already knew that I qualified because they take the top 3 in each tournament. I got a second at Sandy Cooper, so there's a few tournaments where I was like really swinging for the fences, and I knew like there was a couple tournaments where I was pretty confident I could have got a check at least, but I wouldn't have won it. The New River being one of those where I was like I most likely would have got a check or done pretty well. But instead I fished this area where nobody was fishing, and I caught, one really good one. And I was like, man, if I get a limit here each day, like I have a chance to win. And it just crashed and burned there. But yeah, I did that a couple times. And at the Mississippi River, I stuck with an area that I've fished in the past and I've done good. The last 4 times I've fished it, I got 2 firsts and 2 seconds, and I pre-fished it, and I got a couple of the right fish, the winning fish that you need to get there, but couldn't get much to go with it. And same thing, I had an area I could have gone to Goose Island and done pretty well and got a limit. I don't think I could have won it there, but I could have done decent, and instead I just stuck it out in the area where I knew there was big ones living, but I was hoping I could just figure them out come tournament time, and yeah, it didn't happen. But
are you seeing like the same competitors on both those trails? Like you said, you didn't do too well on that one. Is it just like the time of year, or is there or is it a specific reason why you think you didn't do better on one trail than the other?
With the Hobies, there's a lot of tournaments with the Hobies this year. I've done well in the past. I've over 90% of the Hobie tournaments I've paddled instead of pedal. I do have a pedal drive. I have a Wilderness Systems Recon, and I've used that for maybe a tournament or 2 last year and a couple tournaments this year for the Hobies. But sometimes even for the Hobies, I just rather paddle, depending on where I'm fishing, what I'm fishing. I rather just stick it out and paddle. And usually I get by and it's fine. But this year, the wind, like every single freaking Hobie tournament, there's at least one of the days where it was like 20 to 30 mile an hour wind. And I was just, gosh, in a situation where that wind just wasn't like that, like I'd probably be okay. And
right.
Otherwise I'm just out there just cussing up a storm.
Is that going to make you maybe bring pedals next time?
I mean, I have a pedal drive, but certain areas it's hard to use the pedal drive too. Like in the New River, for instance, like in the rivers and stuff. If you have a Hobie, it's okay because your pedals can come up flush with the hull of the boat and you can float through things. But with other pedal drives like the Recon, where it sticks down, in order to get it up, you got to it takes a second. So it's, yeah. And as far as like going through grass and vegetation and stuff like that, the Hobie drives can go through it okay. And any of the other drives, it'll bind up in the grass. So
I mean, it sounds like you need a Hobie. I just looked up online. Google is saying that you've won $84.7 million worth of money in kayak tournaments.
It's close to that. If you round
why
up,
don't you
I
have a
guess.
trailer with a Hobie on it and a wilderness?
I'm sponsored by Wilderness Systems. I had a Hobie for a little while.
Last year.
And,
didn't you start off last year with a
couple
Hobie?
years ago? No, I've always had a Wilderness Systems attack, and
I thought you had a
I had
Hobie
1
for
year.
something.
I did for 1 year. I used it for two or three of the Hobie tournaments, and then I'm not going to say anything bad. I'll just leave it at that.
Well, hey, look, that's awesome.
My Wilderness Systems attack, I'm just going to say this. It has never once left me in a situation where it's never once broken on me, anything, where I've been in a situation where it's putting me at a disadvantage. Not once in 7 years.
Yeah, because you got to be a real man to break a Hobie pedal drive and then have to paddle that motherfucker around.
Yeah, fuck paddling that.
Would be like paddling
or a 360 drive or a rudder or
easy now. I have a Hobie. I love Hobie.
Yeah.
Or,
no. Keep it coming, Russ. This podcast hates Hobie.
They work. Hey, when they work great.
Yeah, they do. When they work.
I mean, it's like an old man's pecker. When it works great, huh?
All right, real quick. You guys ready for the video?
Yeah, let's show us Jake's video.
All right.
Slipping and sliding.
Oh, that is like the best thing ever.
But that's
talk
that's
about
not even the whole
slick.
video.
He's like he was on a skimboard.
Right.
Look, that's not even it took him another 30 or 45 seconds to finally get up and be able to grab hold of something. Like he kept sliding down. He almost slid out the view of the camera.
There's a couple ramps. I know a ramp on Gunnersville, and I know a ramp on up in La Crosse in Mississippi, where same thing. It is, if you even try a step, as soon as you get in that below that water line, it is just slick as a something. What's slick? I don't know.
Do shit on a golf course. I don't know.
That works. That works.
Slick as a banana peel.
Yeah. Slicker than bait fuel on your feet trying to stand up in your kayak. I mean, we got the Astro Glide of bass fishing, aka bait fuel. If you run out of bait fuel, just get a bottle of Astro Glide or his and hers. What's the other one? Damn it.
While Paul's trying to think of it, we'll drop an ad real quick. Hey, this is Alex with Bass and Brews. This episode's brought to you by Astro Glide and the Hobie Maintenance Department.
KY Jelly. That's what you're thinking. There you go.
That's right. There you go.
His and hers KY. Yeah.
Look, if you're fishing, your feet start getting cold, get him and hers KY Jelly, and you get that nice little tingle. You rub it on there real good.
What was the other one you did? So, Russ, we did...
Mix some Vicks Vapor Rub in there.
Oh, Jesus. We did a whole episode of playing Marry, Fuck, Kill, right? And Paul, Alex Rudd... That's what it was.
Astro Glide or KY Jelly, and he's like, "I'm not." This was the only time I've ever heard Alex Rudd bow out from having an opinion.
He refused to fucking answer the question, and I don't blame him. We definitely blindsided him with that one. I didn't even know Paul was going to say that. I was like, "Holy shit!" Yeah.
So Russ, you had a story. It's been, I think, 3 years ago. It was down in Florida, and this is like a funny ass story, but it's not funny. But it ended up being funny because you didn't get ate by a gator. But was it 2 years ago? I think where you flipped.
It was longer than that. Yeah.
Was
yeah.
it 2 or 3 years? It wasn't more than 3 years ago. You flipped.
At least three. Almost like 3.5. Might have been almost 4 years. 3.5.
Oh, it was 3 years ago.
Paul, it happened to him, not you, dickhead.
But I remember it better.
I don't know. It was in January. But I don't know. It wasn't this January. It wasn't last January. It was in January before. So 2.5, going on 3 years. Yeah.
3 years ago. So you flipped your kayak, like you lost all your shit. You're sitting on your boat with shitty cell service. Tell us that story. And people, it's out there, but if you can remember,
it was January. It was January. We're out on the Kissimmee Chain. I think I was on Cypress Lake. It's just a big bowl of a lake, big round, like most of the Florida lakes, just shallow, a lot of grass. And a lot of times you'll fish offshore, especially on those grassy lakes. I was way out in the middle there. And it's Florida, so the water doesn't get, it's not too cold, but it's still January, the water temp's probably around low 60s, something like that. And the air temp was probably low 60s. So it wasn't warm by any means. Yeah, and there's a little bit of wind, like a west wind, maybe 15 miles an hour coming from my side. It's coming from my side though, but little, maybe 1 to 2 foot wind waves. Nothing. I've been out in much worse. Didn't even cross my mind that I might flip over. I've been, I've gone down good sized rapids where I'm like, there's a good chance I'm gonna flip over, and one of those times I did. On the Flint River, that's how many times have I flipped over? 3 times? 2, 3? Yeah, anyways. I flipped over on the Flint River, but that was going down like a 5-foot waterfall. And I got it the first time, and I'm like, all right, I got this again. And I'm like, I just got lucky that first time. But yeah, I was out there, and the wind was blowing up my side, and I was up in my front hatch trying to grab like a spool of fishing line or trying to grab something. I forget what it was, but something fell out and was just like drifting down the side of my boat. And as it was drifting down, it was kind of far away, and I like lean over like this, and the wind was coming from this way. I lean over to try to grab it, and just a wave hit me just right, and I just flipped right over. And wasn't that deep of water. It's probably 7-8 feet. There's some vegetation and grass and stuff like that. But yeah, I quickly got up on my kayak was all the way flipped over, and I got onto the top of the kayak, which was the bottom of the kayak really. And I was able to grab my paddle, my black pack, my Yakutech black pack was strapped in, secured, which was nice. But I did lose actually. So I have my Yakima black pack that I carry all my tackle in, but once that fills up, I also have like a little soft-sided cooler that I kind of sandwich in between my seat and the black pack. And in that I just have like my sunglasses, my food, my whatever else. And I had some extra tackle. I actually brought my binder with like all 300 of my hand-tied swim jigs. And that was sitting in there.
You and somebody else had been tying jigs for like 2 weeks before that tournament. You lost
Cody Milton.
Yeah,
Cody Milton. That was like 50.
Jigs.
I mean, we'd made all sorts of lures. I probably added 30 or 40 from that, but this was like years of tying swim jigs. It's like 300-400 swim jigs. It fucking sucked. And that I lost that. So that's the one thing I lost, and I lost some rods as well. I got a couple of them back.
Again, you've made $84.6 million. Losing a little bit, you'll be all right.
Yeah.
So who was the lunchbox? Because this podcast is not sponsored by a lunchbox that does not float.
The lunchbox float. It was an igloo, little soft-sided igloo cooler, but the zipper was open on it, so it opened up, and a lot of the stuff that stayed in there kind of floated. I got most of it back. I maybe lost a couple other things, but lost the swim jigs. But I was on that kayak, and I had my phone in my life jacket, so I was able to get my phone. I called a couple of my friends. I'm like, hey, I flipped over on this kayak, just hanging out. I made a little story on my Instagram or whatever, and got a lot of people.
Took some time.
A lot of nice
media.
people. Like, yeah, I was like, oh my god, now I got to get back to 70 something people, and all of them were really, they were, I hope you're all right, and some offered, even Venmo'd me money. I Venmo'd it back. I'm like, no, I'm good. I don't want to take any money from anybody.
$84.6 million.
The winningest angler to ever have fished for bass.
KVD asked Russ for a loan just last week.
So there's 2 parts of this story that I remember. Is one, that your graph, and I don't remember what.
Yeah, so I'm getting there. So
all right, go ahead.
My Torpedo was underwater I was out there for 45 minutes before I finally see a boat in the distance, and I just grabbed my paddle and I just like waving in the air. And it was like
Russ,
5 times. Like, when is this fucker gonna see me? Gosh.
Russ, I interrupt people on this podcast. FYI,
He does.
Told you this earlier, but where the fuck was your whistle, Russ?
The whistle.
my whistle was in underneath the water in the I have a little dry box. My wallet and my keys were in there too. I put my wallet, my keys,
Okay. So you
my
had it
whistle,
just
and my
wasn't accessible.
Sharpie in there.
That fucking
Yeah.
whistle. Fuck that
I had a
whistle.
cell phone. I had a cell phone and a paddle. But Bass Boat finally came up, and he helped me flip my kayak back over. A couple of my rods were still in the black pack. I think I lost 4 or 5 of the rods, half of my rods. And funny story, yeah. So, anyways, so he flipped me back over. We were trying to drag a rattle trap around, and I was freezing. By this point, I was freaking cold. And I tried dragging the rattle trap off his boat. He was trying to help me out, and I'm like,
you ain't got no
huh?
fat on you like I do. You a skinny,
no,
I'm
like skin and bones, man.
Yeah.
So I finally like, man, I'm good. Like, thank you. I thanked him very much for helping me out, and I'm like, I'm gonna come back and get the stuff. And I dropped a waypoint on my fish finder of where it was at, and then it was way off the bank, a few hundred yards off the bank. And we get back,
He wins the tournament.
Oh, yeah, that's what happened. No, I didn't.
Listen.
Well, I get back, so I go.
Yeah.
I go back to the Airbnb. I'm trying to dry out all my shit everywhere.
Yep.
All my jig, everything's just soaking wet, and drying everything out. And then I had we'll get to that. So I go back, go back out the next day. Cody and a few other guys come with me, and we're loading up our kayaks, and I had my waypoint, from where it was at. And it was about, a couple miles from the ramp. There's like 4 guys want to help me out. I was super grateful for that. And I load up my kayak, and I'm like, where the hell is my fish finder? And I look everywhere, and I realized that night before, right after I flipped my kayak, when I left my truck at the Airbnb, somebody broke into my truck. I think I just left it unlocked. Somebody opened my truck and took my graph. So then I had to go get a new. Then everybody were like, "Well, I don't have a waypoint." So everybody that went to help me out, was like, "Well, we're sorry. I guess it's useless."
Yeah.
But
We're
the
sitting
story
around
gets
eating
crazier
donuts
actually.
now.
Yeah,
What?
Yeah.
What?
So I got a new fish finder, and I
Hold on,
went
real quick.
and
Time out. Side note. Do you think that graph and the waypoints have been put on that? What's that website now where that guy's got? Where
I don't know.
Waypoints where people have.
Oh, the one where they sell waypoints, and they're like, "Hey, this is all of Russ's shit."
Rus Snyders waypoints.
Rus Snyders shit right here.
Fuck. Oh yeah, no, I'd be mad about that. I sold my buddy a fish finder, and I didn't take off my waypoints. I was like, a couple years later, after a couple years later, I'm like fishing. I'm like, hey, how'd you know about this spot? And I'm like, oh shit.
Hey, he got that fish finder for fucking free.
Yeah. Right.
So
so what happens next?
We couldn't retrieve this stuff. I had a new fish finder. I didn't get any pre-fish, so I went and fished a tournament where I did, I think just the year before, and it was a 10-invitational. Yeah, and I got second, so I still did good. I had a good tournament. I was happy about it. But the crazy thing is, so Cody ended up fishing where I lost all my shit, where I flipped over. He ended up fishing out on Cypress, and as he's fishing, he sees this little tiny stick sticking up out of the water, and he goes and he casts there. He says he catches him, and there's another kayak around there too, and they're both casting towards this little thing that's sticking up out of the water, and they each catch 2 fish. They catch 4 fish right there where this little thing's sticking, and they finally get up closer and that's a rod tip, and they go and they pull it out. It was one of my fishing rods, and they kept fishing there, and they snagged another one of my fishing rods. So they got 2 of my fishing rods out of the 4. I think I ended up losing 2 there. I lost 4, but they got 2 back.
This is the part of the story that's absolutely fucking best, is that the guys that went out there to go help him find it and didn't have the waypoints, like, sorry, buddy. And then they're fishing one little stick because, right, when you're bass fishing, right, when you see that one little thing sticking up out of nowhere, this is a perfect example of that. There's a reed sticking out in the middle of fucking nowhere. They catch fish off of it, and it's fucking Russ's rod.
Now, do you think that Cody stole your graph in the middle of the night and didn't tell you? Because listen,
Cody's been fishing
Makes
really
a
good
lot of
since,
damn
since that
sense,
tournament
doesn't it?
too. I mean, Cody's had some damn good wins. Since
He's
then,
got
too,
all
right?
your waypoints. I almost guarantee.
We don't know
Man,
Cody either, so this
you're
is us just
probably
asking
right.
questions.
Cody was like, listen, he's down on his luck. He won't care that much if I fucking steal this, because he's already sad anyways, right? And he'll never suspect me
Full on
because,
sabotage.
he's like, don't worry, I'll help you, man. I'll help you the whole time. He's downloading every single waypoint.
He just put the SD card back in and was like, yes. Hey man, I'm pretty sure that Russ was fishing right here. Oh look, right
He's
here.
pretty.
Oh,
Probably the
it's
reason my
so
kayak flipped
crazy.
over too. He's like, I'm gonna put that on the edge of his kayak, so it just falls
He
in the water, and
probably
he has to
did.
reach for it and flip it
He put a
over.
pin-
And
Yeah, he put a
man.
pinhole in there so it'd fill up with water, and so when the wind was blowing, it'd be easier to tip over.
No, actually, if you go back to his social media, he was scuba diving on that lake earlier, and he's the one that actually pushed you over. It wasn't the wind.
We're just fucking
wasn't
around.
mine.
We know Cody Milton wouldn't do that, even though we don't know him, but we know of Cody.
Don't know him,
We
but
he
all
wouldn't
right.
do that.
So
But that
I've
is
got a
funny
question.
as shit is that
It
they
is.
go fish this little reed, this
That's
little stick
fucking
sticking
amazing.
up and fucking catch fish on your damn rod.
Ain't that wild?
That was the part of the story I wanted you to get to, because I had heard that when it happened, shortly after, because I'm pretty sure you're on KBN, and I listened to it, and I was like, is that real or not? But it was actually real. They caught fish on your rod sticking up
On my fishing rod.
That's fucking
And the
crazy.
funny thing is, I didn't catch shit. I was fishing around. I wasn't. Well, this
Yeah,
spot's
because you didn't have
worthless.
any fucking waypoints. All right, I got a question. So, with you being a top angler, $84.6 million, and you don't need to name names or anything, right? But like most kayakers that do tournaments talk about how they love kayak tournaments because of this sense of camaraderie and brother/sisterhood, all of that, right? But you fish in a lot of high money tournaments. And without saying names, is there like beef between some of you folks at the top there? Like, are there some people where you're like, yeah, fuck that guy, he can go fucking eat a dick?
Maybe.
Maybe. All right, I'll take that.
Maybe a little bit.
Because-
Most of the people are really nice. So we have our little
Right.
core friend group, a little
Right.
Dakota Lithium will take care of our lodging and stuff. So a lot of the top anglers, me, Cody, Matt Scott, Eric Siddiqui, Guillermo, Christine, a lot of us all work together, and I'll get along really well. And there's little tiffs, so there's little things where we got to figure stuff out when
Right.
a couple of us will be fishing the same area, but there's been time, there's been some, like I said, little tiffs and stuff, but all of us, for the most part, have done a pretty good job to, considering the circumstances, of really doing a good job, just being fair and being respectful, and it's been a really fun time.
It's crazy.
But
You guys are all competitors, right? So you want to I could see that like spilling out. And I mean, you mentioned Christine. Like, if anybody follows her on social media, she seems like a fucking menace, just a real big meanie. You know what I mean? She seems like the meanest person ever. No, just joking. I do imagine. What's the other big kayak battery brand?
Russ, here's a little bit
Paul,
of background too.
Paul,
Alex
what's the
does
big
not
brand?
tournament.
Oh yeah, I don't tournament fish.
So
no.
he does
Yeah.
not have
Battleborn?
any.
I don't know.
He doesn't know. So when Alex is asking you questions about tournament fishing, understand that it is coming from a complete stance of ignorance. He has no fucking clue at all. Like, tournament fishing to Alex, he might as well be out there playing ping pong or something, because he don't know shit about tournament fishing. So let me preface all of his tournament questions. Is that he don't know shit about tournament
That had
fishing.
nothing to do. One, that had nothing to do with tournament fishing.
it was a good question,
Really,
though. That was a good
Behind the
question.
question
Well, I had to
was
go
you
think
deal
when
with
I
a
heard it.
lot of people who are very competitive, and I could see like emotions spilling over, and at some point somebody being
there's
like fuck that
certain
guy,
people,
fuck Mike Iaconelli.
Yeah. There's certain people that are shit disturbers that like to just cause problems and make, and they'll do it sometimes for their own personal benefit of getting ratings or getting, I think with kayak fishing, or bass boat fishing, or any industry, there's always those people that are going to stir the pot and cause problems and create drama and be jealous of others who are doing well and all that. And that's just part of it. I've got, sometimes for the most part, I've done a good job of just kind of biting my tongue and letting people, whether it's on social media or on podcasts or whatever, just kind of bite my tongue and just let them say what they're going to say. Once in a great while, it'll get to me and I'll have a little something to say.
So Russ,
I'll leave it at that.
You're originally from the West Coast, California, bass boat fishing out there. So you've been in both sides of the competitive bass angling. Where should we have a standard spot off when two anglers or three anglers or whoever get to a spot like, bitch, this is mine, or no, they're bitch, this is mine. Should we have like a cast off, or we should have a dance off, or like something? Should we? It have
should be
some
a joust.
kind of standardized.
It should be a joust, like on the water.
That
jousting.
you get. I can cast this buzzbait farther than you can cast yours, or something like that. Should we have some kind of competition on the water that lasts for a few minutes, that the person who wins
that'll be the determining factor of like whoever wins is like gets the say and
bitch, your
that.
rhymes were whack. Get the fuck out.
Why not? That'd be one way to settle it.
A fucking rap battle.
Yes,
a rap battle. I think
we could be like Eminem.
There has to be official. I've been seeing more and more of the TikTokers and musicians doing like rap about fishing. It's just like all their music is just fishing rap. I like it. I'm into it. I like it.
You go to the most famous TikTok dance that is there that day, and you do the TikTok dance, and you do it live.
But then we're gonna have to have a judge on who's then there's somebody gonna have to.
You do the TikTok dance live, both of you, and you have the viewers choose who's the winner, and then that's your spot.
Okay,
I like it. I'll do that. I'm a horrible dancer, so I'd probably lose at that one.
I think they need to send out kayaks to specifically, instead of having, like, you have a marshal, and the marshal's job is just to judge your dances on the kayak, right? But also,
with all the technology nowadays, you just put it on. You can get your GoPro, and that's the way that this tournament fishing is gonna get, especially with the kayak fishing. Is gonna at some point we're all gonna, I bet, have to have cameras going, and especially as the money gets. There's just been a lot of talk of that. I just keep hearing where that's kind of the next step, and not just legitimizing the tournaments, but also just being a way to publicize everything and have it to be more of a spectator, to have fans watching it and to just put it in the public eye a little bit more. It's going to have to be, these tournaments are going to have to be broadcasted live.
Fishing is the cheapest motherfucking sport out there. I mean,
we got weights.
I don't know about that.
Weights.
I mean, no, dude, you can't cheat no fucking ping pong. How you cheat ping pong? I mean, you got a loaded paddle or something. I mean, you think about the sports that you relate to.
I like
card, like poker. I don't know. What's
you can't cheat.
I don't know. Racing's probably the cheatingest sport. That's probably
it is.
One of the hardest ones for
It's also not a sport.
Oh Lord.
Then there's I don't know. Yeah, there's like steroids and stuff like that and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, but the testing's got so good.
Cycling with Lance Armstrong, all those.
But see,
every sport has some.
I mean, it's been said about you, Russ.
Baseball.
It's been said about you online. Yeah, well, about performance enhancing drugs. They say that you're juicing. Yeah, they say that you're juicing on the water. I found a whole message board that were like, Russ has got to be on steroids. He's got to be on it.
I have met Russ in person and shook his hands, and I can fucking guarantee you this man has never taken a steroid in his life. If he has,
that's the truth. They ain't working.
Done the opposite effect. Yeah, you need your money back if you've done steroids, Russ. I can promise you.
People are claiming that, but what they don't know is that you're on crack, and it's just doing the opposite.
Get super dialed in. Let me take a hit of this crack pipe so I can get super dialed in.
He went old school too. He was like, I'm not going to do any of the new stuff. I'm going with old school 1997 crack cocaine.
They're not testing for this.
That'll wake you up.
Out there taking ADHD meds. Out there taking, hyper focus.
Yeah,
was it Adderall?
Yeah, Adderall.
Yeah.
There we go. They got some way better ones.
That
than
might
Adderall
actually,
do.
that might be something
Actually.
that could help. I
Yeah.
don't know.
It could, man.
I
Especially,
don't like. I'm
you gotta
taking
think about it.
Adderall. I don't personally like it too much.
But you think
But
about it. If
Wait. Are you?
if
Hold
you're
on,
AD,
Paul.
oh my
Hold on,
god.
Paul. Are you taking Adderall because you have ADHD?
no, I did get diagnosed with ADHD when I was like a teenager, probably,
Okay,
and they want to
so
put me on
yeah,
Ritalin, and my dad was like,
yeah,
"Fuck that," and I didn't get on it. But I was in my
yeah. But
early 20s. I've tried Adderall a few times just to stay up
so
and
Adderall
whatever.
would
It doesn't
probably
go good for booze though.
no, it doesn't. But it would probably help you, right? My understanding with Adderall is if you don't have an inkling of ADHD and all that stuff, it works really well because it's not like fixing an issue, right?
Hyper focusing.
It's just hyper. Yeah, it's just like coffee time. But I got really like jittery and kind of uncomfortable. If you're really tired,
Huh.
it'll wake you up and you'll be good. But I just get too jittery and fidgety and just not. I don't like it. I don't know.
All right,
That's
real
just me
quick break
personally.
here. Bass and Brews is brought to you by the old school crack cocaine. Fuck Adderall. We're all about the crack.
The real
This is what I'm going to
stuff.
start doing, Paul. I'm just going to start interrupting the show to do shitty ads. So maybe somebody wants to sponsor our piece of shit because they'll hear my awesome ad reads.
Yeah, I can 100% tell you that nobody you've mentioned so far on this episode is going to sponsor us after this.
Crack
episode.
cocaine. We could maybe we've talked about this before. If we can find a good drug dealer to sponsor the show, we'll be set.
No, you've talked about that with Ramon, not me, because I'm anti-drug, especially crack. I mean, that crack is whack, yo.
I like how there's just silence.
get
Like, I like how me and Russ were like, I don't know about that.
Well, I'll tell you
Am I
what.
gonna go there?
This one is this episode's definitely getting fucking takedown on YouTube.
No. I mean, it's not like it can go anywhere. But anyways, if you guys want to find us on YouTube, just remember we rebranded. So no more Swamp Rat Fishing. You can find it on Bass and Brews Podcast on YouTube. The rebrand is complete at this point. Swamp Rat Fishing is dead. Rest in peace. But yeah.
Back to fishing real quick, and this is something that intrigues me about Russ, because it relates to a lot of other really good anglers you hear. Russ, people talk about you being a fast angler, like you're and primarily as a paddler, being fishing
As a what?
fast. Paddler.
Yeah.
It's the crack.
Fast. Fishing fast. The things are starting to trend that way. This is weird. But anyway, about you fishing fast. You got a damn bladed jig or whatever you're fishing, like you're casting, fishing fast. How the fuck do you know when to slow down? This is somebody that tournament fish. I tournament fish, and I like to fish fast. But like, when the hell are you like, shit? I've caught it. Like, I need to slow down and test it out. Like, how do you get down from being a fast angler to somebody that needs to sit down and milk an area?
I guess once you catch a couple, I don't know if there's it totally every situation's different, but there's times when, I say 90% of the bass can be in like 10% of the water. If it's a situation like that where there's just like a lot of dead water, and once you catch one, there's probably more around. A lot of times I'll just keep moving, like cover a lot of water, especially if I have torpedo motor going. I'll cover a lot, and then once I catch one, at times I'll slow down. There's times where I won't slow down, where there's those tournaments where you're just like hunting like individual big fish where, even if you catch one, that's just, you're not going to catch multiple fish in one area. It's just about hunting down each of those fish. And so sometimes if I can power fish and do that, like I'll just keep moving fast all day and cover. A lot of times the name of the game is just covering as much water, making as much cast. And it's just like, if you put it in front of a fish, they're going to eat it, but it's just more a matter of finding them more so than finding what they want to eat. And as long as they're, those fish that are up shallow, they're aggressive, and there might not be that many of them. It's just about making just accurate, presentations and good casts, and just covering as much water as you can. There's other times where I'll sit in one spot all day long. If I know it's an area that's reloading, where, it might be a certain point or a certain spot where there's just a lot of fish in the whole general area. There, the fish are everywhere, but there's like one spot that they generally move up to feed. A lot of people will give the example of like having like the living room and then the kitchen. You know, in the living room, they're not really feeding. Once they move into the kitchen or into that feeding spot, when they move into that spot, they're there for one reason, and that's to feed. And so sometimes I'll sit on one little spot and just milk it all day and fish slow. I'd rather not do that. I think I'm more of an advantage when I am moving fast and covering water. If it's a situation where it's just a matter of covering as much water as possible, I feel like I guess mechanics and stuff just set me up. So I'm very comfortable running a motor at 3-4 miles an hour and just firing it, winding it, winding it, and just picking apart all the ambush points, you know, as fast as I can. And I think that's, you know, I guess my strength, I would say. But I've done whatever, dragged a jig on one point all day when I have to. And there's times where I move really fast and I find, you know, there's those stretches where they're on like 100-yard stretch of bank. And it's like, once you find that area, you can just go, you know, back and forth on that bank a few times, pick a few off, and then you just got to kind of feel it out. And if it feels like it's done, you know, and you're not going to get many more, then all right, let's bomb to the next spot, where sometimes you have a milk run of like 5.
Yeah, it's very much, and Paul makes fun of me because I don't tournament fish, but I still, large in part, even before the show, I do follow. You have what seems like very much a bass boat strategy, but in a kayak, which is very different to a lot of folks that are out there, right? Like, you are doing the run and gun thing, right? You're just doing it in a plastic boat.
It's just recognizing. Yeah, I guess it's more about recognizing. One of the hardest things to do in bass fishing is recognizing when you're in lower percentage water.
Right.
And it's a lot of times you catch some fish and keep going down the bank, and it's like you can catch fish just going down this bank and like slowing down, but you're in lower percentage water where it's like there's fish there. And I see a lot of people just slowing down too much in those areas. And then they keep slowing down. Eventually they get to another area and it's like boom, boom, boom. And it's like, you can recognize those lower percentage areas and just discipline yourself to like fish fast through them. Even though there might be fish there, you might be able to get a bite in them, but it's just utilizing your time to be as efficient as possible to stay in those higher percentage areas and get that
Dude,
milk
I think
run.
that's huge. Dude, I think that's huge because a lot of guys will, all right, I'm going to fill a limit, right? I'm going to fill a limit and then call after that, right? But you're pushing through all the way. You know what I mean? Instead of like spending the time, because time is your biggest enemy during these tournaments, right? You only have so much time on the water, right? So, yeah, you could sit there for an hour and pick off like minimum limits all the way through, or you could almost roll the dice, chance it, right? But I'm going to be in bigger or higher percentage areas to catch bigger fish. And that's, I think that makes your kind of style different than a large amount of kind of the field out.
Drew Gregory's me and him fish pretty similar too.
Yep.
He fishes pretty similar to me, I'd say.
How about this? So you've had a ton of success, but when you started all of this, and you've been really honest with this so far, which is really great. Not saying we get it a lot on this show, right? But sometimes when we have,
Alex, I heard his ice hit the bottom of his glass.
Oh, it's empty.
Yeah, I need another. I need to fill.
No, he's all loosey goosey now. This is perfect. So sometimes we'll get people, and you could tell they're kind of reserved when they come on the show, right? You've been very honest with us. So, honestly, when you started this, did you think that you'd be as successful as you are at this?
No, I don't.
You did?
I mean, I believed in myself and my skills, but I never thought it would turn it. When I first got into kayak fishing, honestly, I got 5%, so we're gonna have to switch my cell phone here soon. When I first got into it, when I first got into kayak fishing, it was mostly just local tournaments around here.
Yeah.
And there was national tournaments too, but I didn't know as much about them. And my main goal was to get a guide service going. I grew up in California. I moved to Tennessee about 10 years ago. And after living in Tennessee about 4 years, I started to get to know some of the lakes and a lot of the rivers, and really wanted to set up a guide service for that. And I was like, well, this will be a good way to kind of just put my name out there. And I thought worked hard, even at the local tournaments. I took it very seriously and was like, I'm going to try to do my best and at least make a little name for myself around here, so I can use that to promote my guide service. And yeah, 3 years into that, I all of a sudden I'm doing more regional, national tournaments and stuff, and all the guiding stuff. I do a handful of guide trips every year, but I kind of put that on the back burner. And next thing you know, I'm pretty much last 3 years. I wouldn't say I'm doing it full time, but I'm doing this about over 50% of the time. And I do my power washing. It's a nice business. It's a perfect business really for pursuing something like this, like tournament fishing, where the power washing, it's very low overhead. At one point when I was back in California, I had a few employees and stuff like that, but I realized that if there's people depending on you for their income and stuff like that, just makes it complicated. You make more money, but I felt like the best balance was just for me to really concentrate on the tournaments, and then the times between the tournaments, load up on a bunch of as many power washing jobs and stuff like that I can do. And it was something that I can easily manage and just tell people, I got a few jobs ahead of you. I wouldn't give them a set date. I'd just be like, I got 4 or 5 jobs here, and once I get done with the next one, you're in line next. And it's just a really easy way for me to kind of manage a schedule that's a little bit all over the place. And it's definitely a balancing act for sure. And at times it's not easy, but yeah, it allows me to pursue my dream of tournament fishing. So it's been working.
Great when you can say, hey, I got 4 or 5 jobs ahead of you, which means I've got 3 tournaments and 1 deck ahead of you.
Yeah.
But you don't need to know that I'm going fishing before. Hey, I know you're short. Go ahead and get you another drink. Switch over so we don't miss anything. Yeah. And then
okay.
Hey, Alex, I got a question for you, buddy.
Sure.
When you wake up in the middle of the night and you have to go pee, do you sit down or stand up to go pee?
Oh, it depends on if I recorded Bass and Brews that night.
So you recorded Bass and Brews. You've had
I'm drinks. Sitting down, dog. Sitting down. So
are you?
Yeah.
All right. So you're sitting down to pee in the middle of the night after you've been drinking.
Yeah.
Do you face the back of the toilet and pee that way, or do you sit regular?
Sit like I'm taking a shit. I'll sit and pee. Yeah.
Or do you do that because you pee all over the seat and your wife got mad at you?
It's because I'm fucking down? Normally, if I'm gonna do that, it's because I'm piss fucking drunk. And yeah, there's gonna be something, and then what happens is Mandy, the mail lady, gets up, usually earlier than me, right? Because I don't work Fridays. So she gets up earlier than me on that day, and she goes and sits down, and I'll be awakened, like deep sleep, to, you dumb motherfucker, how are you a fucking adult? And it's because she sat and pissed. It's funny you mentioned that. So when I was on the boat, shout out to Mathers, who was this dude. He was like 6'2", fucking huge dude, right? And he always sat to pee, and we couldn't figure it out. And this was like not drunk. He would just sit to pee. And he said because it was more comfortable. We were like, there's no fucking way it's more comfortable to sit and piss, right? But we figured it out. It's because he's married and he has 3 girls. So there's fucking no way that even a minuscule drop of piss on a toilet seat will go unnoticed in his house. So he's just given up and he's sitting down to pee. Yeah.
Middle of the night, I go tinkle. I'm sitting down. I ain't chancing, especially if you got midnight wood. I mean, you have to sit down.
Well, no, I feel like that's worse because that thing's gonna hit the fucking towel rack at that point.
No, you gotta do the squat and lean. But that's where I've had people say that's why they sit in the toilet backwards, because they don't have to worry about it. But I've never sat on the toilet backwards.
You guys hear me all right?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Hey, Russ, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Hey, so it's the middle of the night. You've got to urinate. Are you sitting down or standing up?
Where am I at?
You're at your house.
Well, you're peeing in a toilet. That's all that matters. You're not.
I'm standing. I'm standing up. Usually,
Are you married, Russ?
No, I'm not.
Yep, that's the fucking clear reason why. Yep, figured it out.
Because even when there's dry pee on the toilet, like if you're married, your wife is going to get pissed.
Just gotta lift up the toilet seat, right? Come on.
No, I mean if it's like 2:00 in the morning, right? And you're just
I don't wanna
like,
lift up the toilet seat.
No.
That's too much work. I mean, let me just sit down and take care of my business.
but yeah, I agree.
Well,
I love
that was our intermission while
One,
we switched
Paul.
over to a
Oh
song.
yeah.
Paul. That was a fucking magnificent intermission. That is up there with some of your best work.
It's for people that are just moving in with their girlfriend, they're not going to care as much. When you get engaged, they might give you a little bit of shit, but when you get married
Yeah.
and you dribble on the seat,
Yeah.
like, you are going to get chastised to no
Oh,
end.
it's-
Like, they're going to talk shit to you. They might cut you off from the sex. I mean, and look, here's the deal. Like, you can clean the fucking toilet seat, people. Clean the toilet seat. It's going to make your married life a lot easier in the end.
I get it, but if it's 2 a.m. and a little bit gets on there, listen, I'm not a fucking war criminal. I'm not a fucking warlord from Central Africa, okay? It's a tiny bit of dried piss. Settle down, lady. You'll be okay. Like, I have to deal constantly with, like, all your other stuff. You just got to deal with it every once in a while. I will fuck up, though. I'll be completely honest. Sometimes, if I am standing, I lift the seat, right? But I do forget. And then Amanda will go in there, and she's all tired.
Purple nurple.
And then, again, I got to hear yelling at 2:30 in the morning about how I'm living with this fucking man-child because somehow it's my fault. She didn't fucking look at the toilet seat before she sat, and now she's stuck in that bitch. Like, that's not my fault. That's your fault.
For sure.
Yeah.
I'd put the
Look,
blame on her.
Look, I have not put the toilet seat down once before my entire lifetime and gone to pee in the middle of the night and sat down and hit that cold ass porcelain
I've never
bowl,
done that.
and then my butt hit the water, and there is nothing more nasty than your butt hitting the toilet
Wait.
water.
So you said you've done that, or that's never happened to you?
No, I just said I've done that. I have
Oh.
gone to pee in the middle of the
See,
night.
that's never
into the
happened to me.
toilet seat, then gone to pee again in the middle of the night and sat down without a toilet seat. And look, I got a fat ass.
Yeah, he
I mean,
does.
you
I mean,
know,
not as big as Jake Harshman's, but
Yeah. Well, you know. He's short like you, little munchkin.
hey, so I've got to talk about it real quick before we get back to Russ. Shout out to my mom, who I guess blushed. She said, sweetheart, because she lives on the West Coast, I'm on the East Coast. She goes, sometimes I just listen to the show just to hear your voice. And then she goes, it's been real raunchy lately. And I go, well, what do you mean? And she goes, I was blushing when Paul talked about going up on your wife. So,
So, Russ,
shout out to Mama. Yeah.
Russ, you have listened to the podcast, and we've got a lot of brewskis out here that like to make jokes on me and Alex on the jokes that we make about each other. And our buddy William Shaw, a few episodes, even though I mispronounce it, and he hates me because he doesn't text me
You
anymore
fucked it up.
after this.
You
I
fucked it
did.
up.
I fucked up like one of our top fans. But anyway, he said, "Hey, ask." But here's the deal: Alex is short. He's like 5'1".
I'm not.
And
Fuck
and
off.
his wife is like 5'12". And so,
5'12".
William wanted to know if he ever goes up on his wife because Alex is so short. He's like, "Do you know the movie Willa?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen Lord of the Rings?"
Yep.
So
I've
he's
seen Willow
Frodo.
too. I just can't think about it.
Yeah, I've never heard of Willa until I did this.
Look at that.
podcast.
Look at that bullshit that our fans made for us.
Some good Photoshop.
Listen, we have the
Alex
best
is
meme
Frodo.
makers.
Alex is a short Frodo.
A short fuck you, Paul. You're a fucking you're a fat walrus. I don't fucking know. Fuck off.
Russ, just
A lot,
like the
lot of good
text-
short anglers, I must say. If you took, whatever the average height is, I would
Oh,
say
Brett
there's more
Brett
great
Ealer is a
anglers
little
under the
man.
average height than above it.
Right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
I mean,
Hmm.
I don't think size has anything. Size or athletic ability has nothing to do with angling. I mean, in a kayak, maybe a little bit. If
A little
if
bit
it's
on
a movie,
athletic, yeah. just
Yeah,
moving
but now that
around,
there's
being a
being a
motors
little
everywhere.
agile and
Not in
stuff.
Oh yeah,
in
Hobie doesn't have
general,
the motors.
I think
Yeah.
it helps more to be agile than
It does.
yeah, you
Hey,
can get by without it, but
I've gained
it
like
helps.
40 pounds over the last year, and I will tell you one thing. In
We
gaining
all
these
know.
40 pounds, when you have to bend over, and I'm in a Hobie, when I set my catch board up to measure a fish, when your stomach and fucking guts in the way, where you can't bend over enough to hold the fish, a wily fish down, that fucking shit sucks. I ain't gonna lie. Like,
Paul gets
and then
penalized
not
because
only
his
that,
guts holding down
no,
the fish.
and not only that, like you got to take a deep breath to reach over and to hold the fish down because your gut's in the way, and the only way you can not get it in the way is take a deep breath and like, and then and then you
Up.
take like 3 or 4 pictures and you sit up and take a deep breath and then you get all fucking lightheaded and you're worried about passing out, falling out of your boat because you had to take a deep breath to get your stomach out of the way to measure fish. I mean, look, fat kayak anglers. It's a struggle, y'all. It's a struggle measuring
That
a
and
fish.
women with giant tits. It's like, how do you get those out of the way?
Whoa, don't pick on my titties. Why you got to do that, Russ? Why you got to fucking talk about
Yeah,
my
yeah.
damn
You
big
actually just insulted him twice because he's got both problems. He's got giant tits and he's fat. Real quick, hold on.
My vest presses my boobies in, so
It holds them in.
the way.
Real quick, let's take a break here. Bass and Brews brought to you by Cody's Waypoint Service. All of Rus Snyders' best waypoints just for you at $19.99 a month. But use discount code. Russ uses crack and save an extra 10%.
Nice.
No, yeah. So the girls with I feel bad because that's got to be a bitch. That's got to be especially kayak fishing because your knees are up there, right? And when you're in a pedal one, you know what I mean? Like they've just got to be knocking them things with their knees the whole time. I feel bad.
Yeah, make sure to not have that seat too close.
Right? I mean, if they're
Hey,
short, then it's
I will
going to
tell you
happen.
this.
Yeah.
I will tell you this: as somebody with big nipples on those cold mornings where you're fishing shirt and your life vest is rubbing up against your nipples and they get like sore. Like, I mean, there's not
What's
only
that?
Nipple rash. It's a real thing.
What's that
is.
Office episode where Andy's got bloody nipples? That's Paul. Hey, Wolf of Walmart. Let me get a jabber hammer as Andy with bloody nipples meme, please.
Hey Russ, are you using any forward facing sonar yet?
Yeah, I got Garmin Live Scope.
Is it a
Getting
big
used to
part
it.
of your repertoire?
I can't say I've used it 3 tournaments in the Hobie. So I have it on my Recon. So in the Hobie tournaments where I'm using just pedal drive, I've used it a few times, and I can't say any of those times I've cashed a check from it, but probably been more of a distraction than anything. But yeah, just fun fishing. There's times where it's 100%, like it's a benefit, and I will be using it. At times it doesn't really, it's hard to fish as fast. It's just hard to cover. You get so distracted so easy, and but you learn so much too at the same time. You just learn so much, and I'm getting more dialed in with it, and I could tell, I'm starting to be able to tell the size of a fish and what species of fish, and really you can be a lot more efficient with it for sure in certain situations. You just got to know when to use it and when to shut it off and ignore it is the thing.
You think about a lot of our kayak tournaments. They're situated around pre-spawn, spawn, and post-spawn. We get into these summertime tournaments, then that's where we're getting into the river tournaments. So you don't really need it there. We don't really have a ton of true offshore fishing tournaments. If you start to put all of them together, there's probably only a few months where we'll have those. That's where I see it as the biggest advantage is when you roll up to an offshore place and you side scan and you target some fish and like you put the side scan down there and be like, oh, those aren't bass or they're not ready to eat.
Talking about the side scan or talking about the live scope?
Both. Using your side scan to really scan a big area and to identify some fish and then throw the forward facing sonar on them to say, hey, are they set up to eat? Are they bass? Are they not bass or anything like that? Like the amount of time you spend on an offshore spot with forward facing sonar for me, because I don't have it, but I've got bass boat guys that I fish with that do. Like we roll up to a spot and we'll side scan and we'll see a school of fish and we'll throw down on them on the forward facing. and we'll throw baits. You know, we'll spend 10 minutes on them. Where if I saw them in the kayak with my size scan, I might fish them for an hour before I'm up and out of there. Especially maybe if it's a brush pile or a rock pile where you can't really see them that good. With the forward facing, you can get in there and see if how they're reacting and what they are and all those things. Like, golly, cutting down on the amount of time you waste fooling around with fish. With forward facing, that cuts a lot of that time out.
It can, as long as you have those areas really dialed where those target zones or brush pile. If you're only focusing on brush piles, we're just going to say, okay, there's a brush pile here. Let's put the forward facing. Is there a fish on it? You get a cast right on the brush pile, see how they react to it. And then it's like, oh, he doesn't want it. It's like, okay, next brush pile, try the same lure, different lure, whatever. It's really good for just seeing how they react, in real time to each lure. Yeah, I said you learn a lot from it for sure, but it's just about being just disciplined to know when to use it and when to shut it off. And
I tried to look it up. Yeah. I can't find it. I found this. I watched this video on TikTok, right? And this guy was crappie fishing out of a kayak, which fuck yeah, that's fucking awesome. I love crappie fishing out of a kayak. I think it's fun, right? But he had, what is it? He had live scope. What's the other one?
I mean, there's 3.
Right.
The Lowrance.
Correct. So he had all
target.
3.
Is that
he had all 3. He
know.
had all fucking 3 loaded up on this fucking kayak to go crappie fishing. And I was like, this
it's
motherfucker.
Changed the game. I know guys that crappie fish with it. And that, if you got no doubt about it, when it comes to crappie, like it's
for tournaments, sure. This guy, there's no crappie kayak tournaments that I know of, like real big money ones, right? Yeah. Maybe there's one for like a free soft serve at McDonald's, but this dude had all 3, and it wasn't a joke. He wasn't being sarcastic. He said, "This is the only way."
He had it doesn't make sense. He had all 3 on.
He had all 3, dude, with rigs out of it. It was fucking stupid. And mind you, he's also in like an Ascend, so it wasn't even like a really expensive kayak.
So with all his electronics, he probably could have bought 10 of those, or electronics. He could have bought 10 kayaks, probably.
Correct. Yeah, like he had Rus Snyder money. He had $84.6 million to put all those fucking electronics in.
Yeah.
Russ, real quick, I did actually look you up, and that is actually, there was some random website that said you were worth that much money, which I think is fucking hilarious. They counted your winnings. Yeah. So they
joking, right?
No, dude. I'll text you the link. So they counted your tournament winnings, your TV appearances, and I was like, I don't think that motherfucker's been on TV.
No.
And then under references for TV, it had a bunch of Mike Iaconelli episodes, and I was like, that dude wasn't on Mike Iaconelli. It's a bullshit.
And it's under my.
Yeah, well, Russ, when you search your name.
He was drinking last night when he looked that shit up. None of that fucking shit's true.
Dead serious. I also looked up.
Somebody's hacked my identity.
No. The same website says
$84.6 million of my money, I guess.
The website also says that the Bass and Brews podcast has also been on the Mike Iaconelli show, and that we are worth 15.4. So.
Yeah, see, he not only was he drinking, I'm pretty sure he smoked crack that night too.
Hey, so anyways, Bass and Brews brought to you by your local crack dealer. Just when you go to your local dealer, ask them if they accept the coupon code BABCAST, and you can save 10% on your next crack purchase.
Hey, Russ, you're traveling all over the country fishing. Are you camping, you're Airbnb-ing, are you trailering? Are you in a truck? Like, how do you travel to all these damn tournaments everywhere and make it where it's not like, where you make it where it is cost effective, but you're not fucking miserable traveling?
Yeah, I do a little bit of everything, but mostly I got a truck, GMC Sierra, just 2-wheel drive, 04. It's got a little over 500,000 miles, and it's kind of my
$84.6 million, and this is what he's driving.
Is this the same truck where you took out the seats and put
all the seats? So it's just got
the refrigerator and shit in there.
Man, you are such a stalker. Like, honestly, you were such a fucking stalker.
Spray painted all the windows black.
No, not Russ. Paul, you are a stalker. You know everything about Russ's life. I'm getting real creeped out about this.
I listened to all the.
I put it on my
podcasts he's been
social
on.
medias. I talk about it a little, but
Yeah.
yeah,
This
I'm
is
proud. I'm an original owner of that truck. I've had it since '04
Holy
and
shit.
put all 500 and something thousand miles on it
Oh.
myself.
Yeah, that's gnarly.
Second engine, third transmission.
It's cheaper than a
And
new truck.
You know, with
That's
any
dang sure.
$4.6 million, you could buy a fleet of those things and put live scope. You put live scope on every
On
truck
trucks.
and still be fine.
But yeah, it's cool. I ripped out, pretty much gutted the inside except for the driver's seat and the little center console that'll fold up, so I couldn't seat any other person there. But where the passenger seat is, I got just
He
put like a
definitely-
wood plank.
I wish you would have led with this because I wouldn't have asked you whether you were married or
It's
not.
very-
Because when you're like,
Exactly.
I gutted
That's what I
it
was about
out.
to
I
say.
got a refrigerator. Nobody else can sit. I'm like, nope, yep, there's nobody else.
Well,
in
it's
that
good
truck.
for it. If when I go on dates, it's pretty good actually because there's only one other seat. I mean, it's right next to me.
Yeah.
So
And there's a bed. There's a bed in the back.
in the back, yeah, exactly.
Russ
So
is
the
like,
back
hey, I
seat-
don't have a seat for you, but I am sponsored by crack. Do you want to hang out in the back?
Hey, there's only one seat and it's in my lap, baby.
And I got a bed. Yeah. So I took out the back seats, and that's basically like two giant storage compartments that have big lids on them that have some foam, like Tempur-Pedic foam, and it's carpeted over. And one of the boxes I got a couple 100 amp hour Dakota lithium batteries and a power inverter, so that powers the power from my fridge. It'll I could charge up my Torpedo batteries, my smaller Dakota fish finder batteries, and other storage is just a bunch of all my fishing tackle. It's actually 4. It's like 2 big ones and then 2 little ones in the back. So I got all my sleeping stuff. I got a little sleeping bag, a blanket and pillow or whatever, and I put that on top of that big surface in the back there. Just lay. It's got a little air pad just to get a little more cushioning, but it's comfy back there. I
Do
sleep
you have
back
solar
there.
panels, or are you having to go?
No,
charge
I
up?
don't. So I have a Red Arc. That's a good question. I got a Red Arc DC to DC charger. So what that does is, as I'm driving, once my truck battery's full, it'll bypass the truck battery,
Wow.
and then the alternator will charge up the power sources to 100 amp hour. Dakota
I just
lithiums.
imagine all of this information is in Russ's Tinder profile. He's like, I've got a DC to DC converter. I've got no seat for you. There's a little bit of padding in the back. I fish 300 days out of the year.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
a couple
Back
deck
seat.
picks, and then we're
Yeah,
good
a
to
couple
go.
deck picks, and the only one that answers are like 50-year-old dudes who are like, "Can we be friends?"
Do you have room for my kayak in there?
Yeah.
So
Paul was
how long
actually
does it, How
asking.
long does it?
Paul was
how long-
asking legitimately.
I've got serious fucking questions about this. How long? Like, how many miles? Do you know how many miles or how long it takes for you to drive for your truck to charge up? the batteries?
Those. I've been thinking about that. It's hard to tell. Sometimes if I'm doing short drives, and I'm doing, say, I'm running that Torpedo dry all the way to, down. It'll charge. If it's all the way full, it'll charge it about twice or so. As far as it's about 100 amp hour lithium, Dakota lithium will charge that bad. I'll get 2 full charges out of it. But if I'm running around a lot and it's the whole week fishing out there, there's times where I won't be able to charge that Torpedo up all the way, and I got to just turn on my truck for a little bit. Or a lot of times we stay in Airbnbs too, and with all
Do you
my
have a
friends and
plug?
stuff.
Do you have a
And even
plug?
then I'll just bring them inside and charge them. But I think to charge, if it's dead, I'd say like 3-4 hours of driving to charge the 200 amp hours from nothing all the way full.
All the way up.
About probably 3-4 hours. So if
That's
I'm
pretty damn
driving
nifty.
like a half hour, if I'm driving like 45 minutes each way to a spot, and I get an hour and a half a day, it'll keep me going pretty good. But if I'm only doing like 10-15 minute drives, then by the end of then a few days in, then I can't get a full charge on my battery.
That's pretty
So,
fucking
I
nifty.
should get. It has the capability to put solar panels. I got a spot where I can put solar panels on there too, and I got.
Again,
So
add that to the Tinder profile. Like looking when it says what are you looking for, you just put looking to add solar panels.
Alex, you've been married a long ass time. How do you know what goes into a Tinder profile?
What? Because I've hung out with younger people.
I've been on Bumble. I can say I've done.
Oh, he's
Tinder.
doing the Bumble. Oh, Bumble's the
Yeah.
nicer one, right? That's where the girls
I
get
guess
to pick.
that and the hint. I haven't done it for. I did that for about a year. I
We-
went like 8 years, man, without. I had a couple serious. I don't know. It's getting all my personal life. I had a couple serious girlfriends when I was in my 20s and so. When I moved out to Nashville when I was 30, I was like, I wrote off women for a while. I'm not gonna lie. Man, I'm gonna focus on work. I'm gonna focus on fishing, and I'm just
listen. Those dicks
not
aren't gonna spray themselves.
When you move from the West Coast to the East and the South, and you start dilly dallying around women around here, they tough. These women around here in the South tough, man.
Yeah, I like Southern girls. I like me some Southern girls. I don't know. About three years ago, I got back into the. I'm like, all right, I'm getting old. I better start dating again. So,
but no, you're doing the better one, Paul. The only reason I know is because I've worked with young folks, right? Like that was part of the deal, right? And all the girls who were, what's the right way to put this? The girls that weren't morale gear. And that's just girls who are like all the nice normal girls.
Stop now.
All the nice normal girls were on Bumble because they get to pick the dude. Tinder is just a free for all on putting stuff in other stuff. Hey, so this episode,
other stuff. What's it? Trailer? Do you
No, I do have a trailer, and if I want to start focusing more on guide trips, I picked up AJ's old trailer. Tennessee trailer. It holds 4 kayaks, and once I really focus on I've used it a couple times for when I'm just going kayak fishing with my friends and I want more than 2 kayaks. My truck can hold 2. I got a rack on top of my truck where I can put a kayak up top there, and I have a rod box to hold my rods, and I can fit 2 kayaks and have all my stuff. But
you said when you moved and you were like, man, I need to get need to get settled down. How you just described your truck made me go, I need to get divorced and unsettled because I can't even imagine devoting all of that to fishing because it sounds amazing. And there's no way I could do that. There's no way.
It works, obviously, right? I'm telling you, man. You just,
his wife listens to this.
Something to be said for that.
His ass might be moving down with you, and he might be buying a 2006 truck with 400,000 miles on it.
With solar
panels. He might be down there power washing and rebuilding decks and building out his fishing truck and starting to tournament fish with you.
Like, I've got a fight. I've got a fight where I've got, like, if I'm going to go out, I was going to go out tomorrow, so I prepped today. And I'm not going out tomorrow because we have a fucking storm rolling through. Fucking, of course, my luck. But she came in and went like, there's a lot of fucking fishing shit in the living room. And I was like, it'll be gone tomorrow. And she goes, yeah, but it's fucking today. And I was like, all right, I guess I'll fucking move it. And this man devoted his whole truck to fishing. Makes me super jelly. It makes me rethink my life.
Well, Alex, here's
I got another truck. It's an 05.
He's got another truck. He's got 2 fishing trucks.
The other one, Alex. It's the same exact truck, pretty much. My buddy was selling it. He had the same truck as mine. So I'm like, well, if I'm going to devote this to a fishing truck, I need to have something to drive, have people in and stuff. So I picked that one
drive
up.
my Bumble dates around in.
He's got a Bumble truck. And he's got a Bumble truck. Dude, the Bumble truck. You should
black and yellow.
It's pretty clean.
And yellow.
Dude, black and yellow
with wings on it.
No, dude, he needs to put his username across the side with a QR code for your Bumble account.
His Bumble truck has the eyelashes on the headlights.
Come on.
No, dude. So the Bumble truck, here's what you do. You put a couple of your accolades on the side of it, right? right? Like, I mean, a
Mhm.
couple of your tournament wins, stuff like that, so chicks know that like you're making 84.6 million, right? And then you put like a QR code for your account, and then you do like a like you work
Cash
on
out.
decks.
Cash out.
No,
I
not
think
a
you're onto something. I think you're
Cash
onto
out.
something.
dude. The deck thing. So you have to have good. Probably you're a skinny ass dude, but you probably have good
Just
thighs,
QR
right? No,
code
I mean,
for deck picks.
well, that too. But I mean, you probably have good thighs, right? So just do a thigh picture and just wrap that bitch all the way around.
All right,
Hey, speaking of deck
all right,
picks,
that might work.
Russ,
And the Bass and Brews logo.
Yes, there we go. Yes, on the Bumble truck. Hey, Russ, did you ever get into making? I know at one point you talked about getting into making your YouTube channel and doing YouTube videos. Did you really get into that, or are you still
I made
like,
3 or 4, and I got like 500 views, and I'm like, all right, this is gonna be a lot of work.
goddamn, this man made 3 or 4 and got 500 views. He's like, this is a
that's
lot of
not
work.
enough.
You know, Alex made like 55 and got 100 views.
I did.
Man,
I
I'll
mean-
tell you what. I mean, I was one of the first fishing YouTubers out there. Not to, I'm just putting that out.
Okay.
Dropped the
This
ball.
dude, Obedy lives out. He
Yeah.
has ripping lips, you know.
Mhm.
Yep.
He was out in the Delta. I was living around there, and in California, California Delta, and had my guide service going, fishing out of a bass boat, and I saw this guy Obedy putting up these videos and getting a lot of views on it. And there was nobody.
Is that one of
This
the
is like
Dark
when
Horse guys?
YouTube. No,
Yeah.
Obedy, Dark Horse. I don't know.
He's one of
yeah,
the-
yeah,
He's
he's
a
Obedy and
black
Mike
dude lives
Anderson.
in
Yeah.
Discovery
It's
Bay by the
Obedy,
Delta.
Mike,
Fishes
yeah,
like Mark
Obedy, Mike
Daniels
Anderson,
and all that.
Greg Blanchard, all those.
Yeah, he fishes
yeah.
with Greg. Okay, I
Yeah,
didn't know.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I heard about that. Yeah. So yeah, I saw him doing it. I was like, man, this is a good way to. I was just getting into guiding, kind of transitioning out of doing tournaments a little bit. Want to focus more on guiding and just put it. This is before GoPro was even. Before the GoPro days. I just got a tripod and like tied it down with some rope on my back seat and put like a JVC
Yeah, dude.
camcorder up there and started shooting some videos. And man, I put them up. I got like 50, 60, up to like 50 to 100,000 views on
What?
those videos. Yeah. It was before. Yeah. You type in
Yeah.
California fishing and I'd be like, and these videos are like they're not good
Yeah.
videos. They're garbage.
But you were there,
Garbage.
and then you
But
stopped
there's
doing
nobody doing it. Yeah,
I
and
know.
I put the videos up, and I got all my guide. I was booked. I mean, I got my guide trips from those videos. That's how I started guiding. Everybody's I saw your videos on YouTube.
it. Exactly.
Russ,
He's like,
Russ,
I was
hold on, buddy.
successful, so I
Hold on, buddy.
stopped.
Yeah, I am fucking crushing it. Fuck YouTube. What the fuck?
I got my boat I lost my boat insurance because I wrecked it again. And
That's
Alright,
why
tell this
Rus
story.
Snyders is in a
Tell this
kayak.
story. Tell this. Finish your story, and then we're gonna
blew
go
another
back to
lower
the
unit.
games.
Yeah, I don't know. It was getting a lot of views. I was getting more. Eventually, I got to the point where I'm like, all right, I'm getting enough guide trips. Like, I didn't look as YouTube as like a way of monetizing thing, making money from ads, and like that was before all that. I just wanted to get guide trips and go fishing, you know.
Yeah.
So I got guide trips. I was going fishing, and I got all the guide trips that I could handle, and then then my lower unit blew up, and I knew I was going to be moved. I knew gas prices were like $5 something a gallon in California. I had to pay.
When
like,
was that? What year?
Yeah, when did you move?
like 2011, 2010. I think
Oh,
my
it
last
was
year
gnarly.
guiding was like it was tough, dude. That was,
It was
gnarly.
right after
That
2
was
gas
so.
literally
prices.
and that was literally before YouTube was YouTube, and it
Yeah.
was way
Yeah, I started. That
before-
was my
it
last
was
year,
way
so I
before
started
the self-
2008 or so.
Okay,
My
and
YouTube
that's
video was
way
like
before-
2008.
Way before.
And
Yeah.
that's way before the self-proclaimed first kayak YouTubers started
Yep.
YouTubing by years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
will say I was in the Bay Area during that time, and gas prices were fucking
Insane.
ridiculous, dog.
Insane.
We went from Jersey, and I remember we rolled in and we had to get up gas, and I was like, what the fuck? Is this an oil change?
And
Like,
the
how the
area
fuck
that
is
I
it
was living, I lived in San Bruno, so it was right
Okay.
kind
Yeah,
of
I know
right
where that is.
below San Francisco.
Yep.
And the closest place, the Delta, was about an hour and 15 minutes
Yep.
away. There's a couple lakes down in below San Jose that were about an hour away.
Yeah.
I'd do guide trips there, and then like Berryessa is about 2 hours. Clear
Yep.
Lake was about 2.5 hours. But any direction. I
You
also
gotta
went to
drive.
San Jose. I had to cross these bridges too. So I had to cross the Golden Gate
Tolls.
Bridge, the Bay
Tolls
Bridge.
for
Yeah, it was
days, dogs.
$25
I do.
to
I know,
cross
dude.
the Golden Gate Bridge.
Yep.
And then they have mussel inspections for these
Yep.
zebra mussels. So you need to pay another $25 each month if I want to go to Clear Lake just for the zebra mussel sticker thing. That's a bunch of fucking bullshit. Yes. I mean,
I lived in.
they don't even inspect your boat. They're just
No.
like, you just show
No,
up
no.
somewhere and they're like,
sticker.
yeah,
You
give us
show
the
the money and you get a
$25.
sticker.
It doesn't even do anything.
I,
It's not even doing anything to prevent it.
Hey, I fought a wildfire in Big Sur in 2008.
Did you?
Yeah.
Big Sur is a beautiful area, man. I
Oh,
love it
yeah,
there.
yeah, that bitch is not beautiful when it's on
Ah.
fire and you're head deep in poison oak with a chainsaw and you're highly allergic to poison oak.
Everybody
It's
drink.
fucking miserable. It's
No, I
fucking
lived
miserable.
in Alameda 3 times in my life.
Nice.
Basically, I did.
I've been there.
What did I do? Like 9
right by
years
Oakland.
total. Yeah, it's that little island in between. I was in the Coast Guard, so everybody drink now. We've mentioned wildland firefighter and Coast Guard. So I so I was stationed in Alameda 3 times. We've lived there, and that shit is fucking nuts. But the first time we went in, and my so my wife is from Jersey. That's where I live now, and when we first rolled in. She was like, "What the fuck is that?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" And she's like, "At the gas station." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "What's that fucking price?" And she's actually the one that did the joke. She was like, "Is that a fucking oil change?" I'm like, "No, that's what it costs." And then we rolled up and we sat there and I was like, "Yo, you gonna get out?" And she goes, "What do you mean?" So in Jersey, it's like Oregon, it's full service.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, no. I was like, nah, bitch, you gotta fucking pump your own goddamn gas. I don't know what to fucking tell you. Like, she actually liked living there somewhat, except for that she had to pump her own gas.
Dang.
And to be honest with you,
Did she ever know what hole it went in?
no, eventually she had to figure it out because I went on deployment and she'd have to fucking figure this thing out. And she said
she while you weren't on deployment too.
correct. She did. That was some guy down the street, but
was that Uncle Jim?
But to be honest, now that I'm fully like retired from the military in New Jersey, pumping your own gas is for suckers, dude. There's nothing better than a rainy fucking day and I'm at a Wawa and I just, drop my window just a smidgen enough to shove my card out to be like, all right, pump that thing on full. Like, I know it's a dick move, but it feels nice. It feels bougie. I love it.
I've been through Oregon a little, so I know what that's like. It's nice.
Oregon
nice.
is so what's funny is I remember going through parts of Oregon. I'm originally from
GED in Oregon.
No, in Washington is where I got my GED.
Same
Thank
thing.
you very much. But I remember I was stationed in Oregon, but we'd go through gas stations, and it's supposed to be, full service, right? But you'd go through and it'd be like 1 o'clock in the morning, and there's fucking nobody there, and there'd just be a jar. Like we were in Astoria, Oregon, which is right on, the border of Washington and Oregon. It's also the place where Goonies was filmed. So I was stationed there. So we'd go out all night drinking, and we'd have to fill up this fucking beast of a car that we had. It was this big ass Bronco. It was like super lifted. We all pitched in money. There were 7 of us that pitched in money to buy one fucking car. So we could drive around in. Only one dude had a driver's license, and that wasn't even me. It was just, so we drive around and get all fucked up. Anyways, we roll to these things, and there'd just be a fucking coffee can, right? And but the coffee can on the side of it had taped instructions on how to work the pump. So you could unlock the pump to be able to fill your own gas, and then you just it was like, like the honor system on doing gas.
Really?
Yeah. So to be completely honest, I'm outside of statute of limitations at this point. We fucking never gave money.
This statute.
We
Free
fucking,
gas. You live in
we
Oregon,
never
free gas.
gave money. Like there was times where we knew they were done at 1:00, so we'd set an alarm to wake up at 1:15 to drive the truck over to fucking fill it up.
What do they? You have to cover your license plates? What are they like?
Yeah, dude. No, we absolutely did. We covered it in fucking tin foil, and we drive that bitch over and fill that thing up multiple times a week. We didn't pay for gas for like 8 months. It was the best thing ever.
Hey,
That
Russ,
sounds like the best thing ever.
all these
Right.
stories about Alex being in California and around these like some of the greatest fishing
I know, and I
lakes
never
in the
fucking
world
yeah.
during this time in the early 2000s, and this sorry ass bastard didn't even go fishing.
I didn't fish then. I didn't. Yeah, I mean the last time I did fish, but it was difficult. But yeah, no, most of the time that I was there and had a vehicle, I fucking didn't fish. I missed out on all of it.
A good day. It's gone a lot downhill since then. I'll tell you.
Yeah, I mean
Do you
Delta's
ever go
still
back?
like.
Do you ever go back to California?
I go
and
back.
to
Yeah,
fishing?
my dad, my stepmom still live in the Bay Area, San Mateo.
Yep.
They were just out here actually this week. I was dropping off at the
you-
airport. It's good
Any
seeing them. But
tournaments when you head out there?
2020, I did a road trip. I've never like flown out. A lot of times I'll fly back out there and see
I
them.
remember
Probably
that.
about
That's-
once,
yeah, when
once
I
or
just
twice
got
a
to
year.
fishing, you did a road
Oh,
trip
my
out there and
God.
went and won
Yeah.
like 4 out of 5 tournaments.
Oh,
you
it's
did.
so
I won
creepy. It's
Two
so
out of
creepy.
3.
It's so creepy. He went,
2
oh,
out of
I
3, 4 out
remember
of 5.
that.
Hey, the percentage is still the same. You won, motherfucker. No semantics around.
A
It's
couple.
so
There's a KVF and a Bassmaster back to back. There was a Delta Hobie at the Delta. I didn't do good, which I expect. Delta always kicks my ass for some reason. I fished it more than anything. I do the majority of my guide trips were at the Delta,
I
which
would
I
have
was
figured
like,
deltas fit right into your shit. Fast fishing in the grass. Just
I know,
go with
right?
it.
I go. That place, I gotta love it. I've had some great days there, but I just can't. It's just something about it, man. It's the number. I'd say out of anywhere, I'd say a lot of people would agree with this too. Out of anywhere in the entire country, locals have a larger advantage at the Delta than of any other place. It's almost impossible for like I've seen so many big like national tournaments or just tournaments
Yeah.
in general. And if you look at the top 10, 9 out of the top 10 in every tournament where it's like people from all over the place will be local, or at least 8 out of 10
Yeah.
will be locals. Clear Lake, not at all. Like Clear Lake is a lake that
Well, anybody can fish a drop shot.
Yeah. Well, clearly you can fish a little bit of everything. The Delta, it's all about these. You get these windows, man. It's like these 45-minute feeding windows, and it's all tide dependent. And it's like if you hit the right place at the right tide, it's like bam, you load the boat, and that's how the tournament's won. It's won in a 45-minute little window most of the times, and it's hard because when you pre-fish, you're better off. The guys, Mark Daniels is a good example. He's one of the best Delta fishermen out there. And he'd pre-fish for tournaments. He worked 9 to 5 all day. I'm pretty good friends with him, and Jamon Andrews was his team partner at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And they would just clean house at these Delta tournaments, and they wouldn't even pre-fish. And they'd pre-fish 2 weeks before and during the weekend, because that would be the similar tide. The tides are always changing. So, and they just kind of wing it. They just go off of instinct.
The tide,
and just show up and say, "This is what the tide's doing. This is what should be happening." And they'd, it's just pre-fishing hurts you so much because you'll be out there throughout the week and you'll figure them out, and it's 99% of the time like you can't replicate it.
So is it? This is weird. Then is it a spot lake with the tides, or is it like? How does it work?
I wouldn't say
Is
it's
it
not a
spots?
one cast spot. It's just like a stretch of bank. There'll be stretches of banks, 100-yard stretches or something like that.
I think it has to deal with
more or
more
less.
of like
Is
where
it-
they're
so is it
positioned,
pattern-
right?
So is it
It's a
more
pattern.
fishing?
It's also a pattern. Yeah, it's a patternable thing. Sometimes people run the tide where it's like, okay, like the first hour, like once the tide starts pushing in, the first hour of the incoming tide. And a lot of times you could chase the tide. So the tide, there'll be, if you're in the very west part of the Delta, closest to like the San Francisco Bay, like the low tide, let's see, will be at noon, right? And then you can go all the way to Stockton, which is about an hour boat drive going 70 miles an hour. And the low tide there will be at like 3 or 4 o'clock, you know? So the tide, it takes a while for the tide to catch up. So sometimes what you can do is you can start out west, fish a certain tide, fish it for an hour, but then you got to be disciplined, hopefully you hit that window, and then you run to another spot and catch up with the tide and fish that tide change, 40 miles away, and fish that same tide change. And you can chase patterns like that. I've seen guys do it. I've done it a couple times successfully, but it's easier said than done.
And that's like impossible to fish like that in a fucking kayak.
No, yeah, you can't do that.
No.
Unless you get up and move. I mean, unless you launch at a place, fish, it's probably even easier in a sense. Like you might be able to drive faster than you can drive a car faster than you can drive a boat. But maybe, I don't know.
What's crazy too is like, and I think why there's not a lot of major tournaments on the kayak or big boat side there is, again, like people, like they have a different tide, right? So on the East Coast, you have a 12-hour tide. On the West Coast, you have a 6-hour tide.
I didn't know that. Really?
Yes. The East Coast, it's ran on a 12-hour tide. You have 2 tides a day, right? But on the West Coast, you have 4 tides. You have 4 movements a day.
Blew my mind. I did not know that.
Yeah. So you're going to have
You need
more.
to fact check that. He's had like
I would figure it's just
100.
why is that? How is that possible?
It's because it has to deal with the depth, right? So look it up, Paul.
I'm like, wow, I had no idea.
Yep, look it up. So it has to deal with depth.
So like Potomac River, that's maybe one that you're.
It's a 12-hour tide. So I live in New Jersey.
So high
right?
tide will be at 2:00 in the afternoon. The low tide will be at 2:00 in the morning.
Well, it'll be like 2:04, right? Like it slowly
or an hour.
shifts.
Yeah, like
So it slowly shifts.
So it'll shift like 45 minutes. So if high tide is at noon at the Delta, the next day it'll be at 12:45 to 1. The next day,
well, not on the Delta.
Hour.
Not on the Delta. On the Delta, you're only dealing with 6-hour tides.
Yeah, 6 hour, but I'm saying it's a little over 6 hours really, because each day it goes an hour. Like if high tide's at 12 noon one day, then the next day it's going to be at 1, the next day it's going to be at 2, so it's about an hour.
Shift. Yeah, you'll have an hour shift, but on the East Coast, you deal with a 12-hour cycle basically.
Wow.
And the West Coast is only a 6-hour cycle.
That's interesting.
So it'll throw. So usually with that, what actually that gives you is like stronger currents each way, right? On the West Coast, because your water has to move faster.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you're going to deal with more. So it actually makes like fishing tidal on the East Coast easier. You're not going to have as much variance because you have a longer sit period, basically.
Yeah, it's a little more stable. It's a little more dependable because,
depending where you're at. Like, I mean, I'm close to the Delaware. That's a whole nother beast where their currents are way gnarlier than people think. They're like an 8-knot difference each way. It's fucking insane. But yeah. It's really different. Did you look it up, Paul? Am I right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
It did not come up with anything. It said 12 hours total. But anyway, back to what you said about the reason why there's not major tournaments out there. It has nothing to do with the tides. It's because 99% of the anglers in the major tournaments
are in the South,
Mississippi.
Yeah, that could be that.
They've already tried to go out there.
Yeah.
But even with cheap gas prices, that shit is not. You ain't gonna make no money going out there because
be great fishing. They have their own West Coast and all
they do.
That's the thing about kayak fishing and the kayak fishing world and the bass boat world. It's like the West Coast,
versus everyone else
kind of thing, and there's kind of this dead zone. Once you cross, I guess there's a little bit in Utah. There's like little spots where there's little pockets and stuff.
The Midwest, there's really nothing.
Yeah, until you get to like Texas, Oklahoma, Missouri, all those other plain states and stuff. There's tournament, and they are tournaments that there are bass to be caught, but it's not it's not like
real.
The rest of the country once you cross the Mississippi. Yeah,
it's not real. Hey, so this episode of Bass and Brews is brought to you by Rus Snyder. He says the Midwest isn't a real. All right. Paul, we're getting to that time. Russ, we're getting to that time.
I had one other question, but now you just ruin it because I can't remember what the hell I was going to
ask. That's not my fault. Russ, we are getting to the point of the end of the show. We're going to give you an opportunity to shout out whoever you'd like, because what we're about ready to do is the patent pending shotgun round, where it's either going to bring you to the highest heights to become a serious angler, or the lowest low to the darkest waters. So before we get to that point, we're going to give you the floor to kind of speak out anybody you like to
Sure.
shout out.
Without my sponsors, this wouldn't be possible. Got a bunch of stickers here. Torpedo,
On that.
Coda
Yep.
Lithium,
Yep.
iRod,
Yep.
Wilderness Systems,
Yep.
Yak Attack, Catch Outdoors,
Man, he makes it real easy.
Music City Outdoors.
Hey, where the
Is that
fuck
one?
are all your checks? Why don't you have your checks in the vault? I'm disappointed.
Because they're
throwing them all
on his
away.
Bumble. They're on his Bumble truck.
I only kept one of all those big checks I got. I only kept one.
No. He said earlier he has like a what's the pad he said for his bed?
The padding on the back of the
it's
it's
the
the checks. It's the checks.
Is all the checks.
$84.6 million worth of checks.
He duct tape all the checks together to get what the hell mattress did you call it?
A Tempur-Pedic, like a Tempur-Pedic
yeah.
foam.
His
Was that right? I
Tempur-Pedic
don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah, it's called a
his
Russapedic.
foam
Or
is
was
all
it
his checks.
Tempur? I don't know. It's Tempur-Pedic. It's,
Yes, it is.
It's
Tempur-Pedic
foam.
bed.
I don't know. Foam.
No,
Yes,
not
all
when
your
you do it.
checks duct taped together.
No. It's called a Russapedic. It's just checks from kayak fishing.
It's all his checks. Every year, his bed gets thicker and thicker.
Well, hopefully, it gets a little thicker before the end of the year. Man.
I don't know how
Gotta
much
break
more
out of
you
the
want.
slump.
KVD took a loan from you, $84.6 million. I don't know how much more you want out of this.
Hey, if he would have stuck with YouTube, it'd be 180.
It'd be way more. You're like
this
Possible.
This man's like 5,000 views on YouTube. This shit's too much work. Fuck this.
like when it comes
500. If I got 5,000, I might stick with it. I
When it
got
comes-
time in the winter, man. I get so busy. It's like, man, I got time for that. But
when it
So
comes to
wintertime.
tournaments, Russ is the Tom Brady GOAT of fishing, right?
He is.
But when
He
it
is.
comes to YouTube,
He's swamp rat fishing.
no, he's the New York Jets, fucking Aaron Rodgers. That's what
oh, poor Aaron.
he's
I was
really
rooting for him.
good, and then he fucking stopped because he got hurt, I guess. But that didn't work out well. Anyways, here
Yeah,
comes
that was a terrible analogy. Good
was.
job, Alex.
Here comes the patent pending shotgun round. We're going to ask you a series of questions.
Uh-huh.
We don't need an explanation. What we need is
Hey,
a
hey,
rapid
hey,
fire
hey,
answer to it.
Alex, before you start this, go off on a tangent real quick. I got to tinkle.
Oh, he's got to pee again. This dude has drank so many. You know what? Honestly, so I've seen White Claw Surge, right? Their ads are everywhere now, right? Like I feel like they're really trying to like grab an audience. And so like we are willing at Bass and Brews to give up our crack cocaine sponsorship for White Claw Surge.
I think we got a few of those in the fridge. My buddy, you guys know Adam Reiser? He's my roommate.
I
tournament
do.
Fisherman.
He's been on
Yeah.
this show. Do you know that?
Yeah. Has he? Oh, yeah. No, he did tell me
No,
that.
you didn't know that. Fuck
I did
off,
know that.
Russ.
I
I've
did.
known you
I'm
long enough.
I
Here's-
know that. I know
Here's my
that.
favorite part
I know
when we
that. I
have bigger
remember.
names on, right? And obviously you haven't listened to the show, which is fine. Like nobody's gonna fault you.
I listen.
You've never.
I have.
listened to the
I've
show.
listened to your show. I'm listening
Which-
to your show. I listened
which
with
episode?
the one with Adam.
Bullshit. Obviously you haven't listened, which is fine. But yeah, we've had Riser on. Paul is a huge proponent of them because they have so many alcohols.
What are you talking about? Yeah.
Oh, he works for Pedal Taverns. He goes downtown. He works on one of those party bikes,
He
and,
didn't
Oh,
tell-
yeah?
Well, I knew all that. I didn't know, man. I didn't know he was my
Paul,
bike
and he
guy.
just brings back just bag because they always, everybody brings their own alcohol,
Yeah,
and you
and
ride
then they leave it.
downtown in the shit show.
Paul,
I
Paul
know.
here's what you
Look,
really miss, Paul.
I've
Here's
got-
what you really
What
miss.
happened? Y'all talking
Is
about
that
Adam
Russ-
Reiser and White Claw Surge?
Yeah,
and
we
now-
did.
now
So
I'm
Russ
pissed at
tried, but also Russ tried to
I've
ask.
seen so many
Hold on.
podcasts. I know for
Nope,
sure.
no,
I've
he's
listened
trying to backtraddle. Russ tried to act like he'd listened to our show before.
Look, Russ, no respectable person, and I mean this with all the love to our listeners. No respectable people listen to this fucking podcast.
until they,
Respectable
until they're on it.
anglers. Respectable.
I've at least listened to a little. I know I have.
It's
Well,
a- no, you haven't.
I was like, have you listened to the podcast before? And some look, we have a lot of people that come on the show that haven't, and as Alex
That's
said,
fine.
that's fine. We're good.
That's
But
great.
we always tell people you might want to listen to a little bit of it just to make fucking sure.
Sure.
The first 10 minutes in.
Well, I've
what
had
the-
more fun on this one than any other one. I've done a
I
lot of
told you we were
podcasts.
gonna have a
yeah,
damn good
dude.
time.
I enjoyed this.
mean-
Listen,
I mean-
KBN, who is up there on the top of kayak kayak fishing podcasts. One said that we weren't a fishing podcast because they said we were a
Jeff said that.
variety show podcast. And I'm going to fucking wear that as a badge on my sleeve. Like, we will never pretend that me and Paul are fucking good at fishing. We have great people on, but also there's a lot of podcasts where you can, you guys can talk about how I threw a Ned rig for 5 hours and that's how I'm the champ. Whatever the fuck you want to do. That's not what we're going to do here. We're going to talk about aliens. We're going to talk about crack cocaine. We're going to talk about Bumble. We're going to talk about how to get Russ laid. We're going to talk about all of that here on Bass and Brews. This is what we're here for.
Hey, I love this podcast. Fuck KBN.
He says that, but he still won't even listen to his own episode. It's not a big deal.
That's okay. I've never listened to a podcast I've
Me
ever
neither.
been on either.
All right, we're going to get to the only scripted part. This is the part where the Brewskis, our wonderful fan base. Listen, our fan base is super welcoming. They're opening. We love everybody. But when it comes to the shotgun round, they become the biggest assholes. They will judge you to the ends of the earth on these questions.
You will
These
have
questions,
you will have the most memes
yes.
that you've ever had made about you. Come on
Yes.
the internet.
Bring it.
This segment.
All right. Rapid fire set of questions. We don't need an explanation on your answer unless we ask.
Okay.
All right. First off, Texas or wacky?
Wacky.
My man.
Ooh, see, I'm surprised by this. I
Yeah.
kind of took you as a Texas guy.
I'm
Deal
a
with all
wacky
that
guy.
grass, right? Yep. Crocs or flops?
Flops.
Ugh.
Whoa.
Fucking California.
Whoa.
Fucking
No
California.
Crocs, huh?
Can I say?
That's why your ass be slipping up.
Danner. Got me some Danner flops. They're good flops.
What the hell's a Vanner flop?
Danner.
He said Danner. He's trying
Danner
to name
shoes.
drop. He's
Like
trying
the
to get
boot
another
company?
sub.
Like the boot
Danner-
company. They make
Yeah.
I got Danner everything. Here's some
Look.
Danner to her. That's all I wear is
No
Danners.
shit.
Yeah.
Look, I had Danner boots in my first year of wildland firefighting. And I love
Drink
Danner
again.
boots.
They're-
Everybody drink. Everybody drink.
I love Danner boots, but in wildland firefighting, them motherfuckers sucked. I went to White's, were the best boot ever.
No. Can't say it. Don't say that.
Have you
Danners
ever
are the
fought-
best.
Have you ever fought wildfire?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Yeah,
Okay,
nope.
yeah.
Paul hasn't either.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. You're
Alex,
on
short
your way to
bitch.
the water. Is it hype music or slow jams?
Hype music.
What does that mean? What's hype music to you?
I don't know, some hip hop, some country, a little everything. I listen to a little everything.
What?
I've
All
had
right.
some-
So
some-
think
What
about
time frame?
no,
Good-
not even.
good hype song.
Think about the last time that you went to the water. What did you listen to? Like specifically artists.
to hype me up. There's
Yeah.
I'm gonna get some criticism for this.
Yes.
There's Ryan
Spice Girls.
Upchurch.
Okay.
Good song, Huckleberry. That's a good one. That'll
All
hype
right.
me up a little bit. He
All
so
right.
happens to live, or he did live a couple doors down from where I'm living right now.
All right.
Coincidentally. But so I started reaching. I'd never heard of him. Started listening to some of his stuff. I'm like, yeah, good little hype song. I like it.
I know who that is. That's not really hype
He's-
music, but that's fine.
Hey, listen to that song.
I mean,
Don't
if it
judge before
hypes
you
you
hear it.
up, I get
hypes
it.
me up.
Yeah,
it
yeah.
hypes me up.
Hey, like I said earlier on my TikTok today, is the music that you listen to is the music that you like.
Oh my god, just fucking your TikToks are getting like dangerously close to me calling social services on you. Like I'm
Well,
worried
you know
about
what?
you.
You should make your YouTube shorts. You should do a better job. You didn't even mouth that motherfucker. I don't know if you saw my.
I didn't mouth it. I didn't see your comment, man. People, total side note, people got
When you
really
say
fucking
people,
mad.
It's only two.
It was no, but if you look at the dislikes, there's fucking 45 dislikes on that video. There's more dislikes than up likes, which I think is fucking funny, but it's the same video from
I
TikTok
thought they don't
that
have
killed.
dislike. Could they still dislike? I thought they got rid of that because it hurts
They don't
people's
show it.
feelings and stuff.
No, it's on there and they don't show it, but you have the option as like the watcher to dislike.
Yeah, you can, but you can see it. But we can see
I can
it
see
from
it
our-
as a creator, and more people hate it because I use the Theo Vaughn quote about Jabberhammer, and they were like, "There's no fucking value to this," and I'm like,
Hey,
"All right, dude, I'll take my 3.8 thousand views and I'll go fuck off."
shitty comments are the best comments because those always drive the most interaction.
Also, we're going to have a whole episode on this to give all the listeners a forethought. We're going to have remote outdoors on in like 3 weeks.
But we're not
we
doing
are.
what Alex is saying we're going to do.
No, we are. So we're going to talk about how to kind
this is a
of manage
shotgun
all
round,
that.
Bitch. This isn't pre-planning for.
It is. Yo, it's my fucking show.
when
I created
Raymond-
it,
when Raymond
dickhead.
comes on.
Go ahead,
See,
Paul.
Russ, you
Paul,
are
say a
lucky,
question.
Russ. This is the first back and forth of me and Alex arguing that you got to experience on this whole podcast. Usually, this is
It
like
is.
3/4 of it, and this is the first time. You're lucky.
All right.
I'm enjoying it. Keep it up.
Oh shit. Well, maybe if you listen to the podcast, you'd hear it all. But anyways, in a how do I phrase this one? In a 3-hour session of fishing, would you want 5 2-pounders or 1 7?
1-7.
My man, there it is.
Snaps for us.
Snaps. All right, so we talked about food a lot, right? So we got some food. No. Are you gonna spend more on a rod or a reel?
I'll get my rods for free, so a reel.
$84.6 million, Russ says.
Real.
Who do you get reels from for free?
Rod.
Tackle Warehouse. I don't.
What do you
get
mean for
reels
free?
I get Rob sponsored by iRod, so I get iRods for free, but I don't get reels.
But you just said.
No, he said he gets rods for free.
Oh,
Yeah,
fuck.
yeah.
I'm like many bourbons in. I'm sorry. I misheard that one.
Hey,
So what's your reel of
That's
choice?
a straight up fucking flex.
I've used
right?
Quantum. I used to be sponsored by Quantum back in the day, and I've used.
Oh, you and KVD. Yeah, the big rollers.
I've used a little
Rus
of
Snyders-
everything.
Hey, for everybody that didn't know, Rus Snyders
I
got
got a
KVD
signature
in the
rod.
Quantum. The only
Yeah,
reason KVD ever did Quantum was because of Rus Snyders. Congratulations, KVD. I hope he thanked you when he.
He didn't, He owes me a thank you.
Oh, what the fuck?
He does.
Hey,
But-
this episode is brought to you by fuckyoukvd.com. That's Rus Snyders' new website.
So what reels are you?
I use a little everything. I'm trying to search for some of the newer. I like a lot of the older Quantums. I do all my own reel cleaning. I'm just cheap like that. Where I'll make a reel last for 50. I have reels that I use today that I've had for 15 years, and I'll just clean them up. If a bearing goes out, I'll replace a bearing. And
That's
Hey,
called
Quantum's
not
a-
having a wife or kids. That's what that's called. That's like motherfuckers.
You're right.
The Bumble ain't working. So instead of using his balls for anything else, he's just replacing them in his reel.
Cleaning-
Hey, I've got 4 or 5 old green Corrados from the
Those are good.
2000s.
Yeah,
They need to be cleaned, rebuilt.
I ain't doing
Like,
it
they
for
got
you.
some-
doing that.
You ain't doing it.
You just said that's what you do.
For
That's what I
himself.
do, and I tie my own jigs and make my own lures, and everybody asks me to. Yeah, how
No,
much you
he's
sell
also
those
like
for?
a
I'm like,
high
"Man, I
level.
barely
angler."
got time to make enough for myself.
I'm not gonna charge you to do mine though. I'm gonna send them to. I will pay for shipping and handling.
I'm
And
not
you
going to
just do it. I'm
charge
not
you
gonna
to
charge
do
you.
that.
I mean, it's fucking win-win. I'll shout you out.
Something like that.
Rus Snyders deck rebuilding and
Real repair.
yeah,
Real repair? I'll power blast your dick and your reel. All
Nobody
right.
power washes a deck like Rus Snyders.
Damn straight.
All right. Pineapple on pizza.
Yes.
Yes
Yeah.
or no?
My favorite pizza is pepperoni, pineapple, and jalapenos.
My man, that's a solid combo.
Let me
Give
tell
it a
you
try.
something. I
That's
would
good.
never. I would order that minus the pineapple. But when I come to Russ's house and he has like 4 or 5 extra large pineapple, pepperoni,
And he's just
jalapeno
power
pizzas,
blasting your
I'm
deck.
probably gonna eat 3 of them while
Yeah.
I'm there.
Listen, I live in New Jersey. Everybody knows I'm originally from the West Coast. That's where I
no, really?
learned.
We didn't talk about that, but 18 times tonight. Sure.
Exactly.
ahead.
Pineapple on pizza is underrated. It's so sweet and salty. It's the fucking bee's knees. You guys can fuck
agree.
off.
See, that's bullshit. I hate that shit, and I'm the fat one out of this.
All right.
group.
Speaking
That's
of
fucking
eating,
bullshit.
Russ, have you ever eaten beaver?
Well, you need to be a little more specific than that.
I'm not. That's the.
Folks, you need to enunciate your words right now because you kind of sounded like Alex after he drank too much. Blood, blood. What the fuck did you just say?
I want to think before I answer that. Like
That's-
yes and no.
No.
Yes and no.
What do you mean? Yes and no.
This is your shotgun round, Halls. It's one or the
Yeah,
other.
it's got to be
I was
one or the
watching-
other.
I was watching that show alone. They were eating beaver. Some guy ate a bunch of beaver, and man, he got sick, and he was out of there.
I mean, sometimes when you eat too much beaver, you get sick. You've got to make sure it's prepared properly.
It's got to be fresh. I think he let it
It
sit a
does.
little too long.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's some really bad diseases that you can get from eating beaver if you ain't careful.
Yo, I don't do clips anymore. This one's being a clip though. Holy shit.
Hey,
One of the
all I
better.
gotta say is you're in Tennessee. There's a ton of beaver up in that area.
There's a
And I
ton
know
in
good and
Nashville.
damn well, I know good and damn well there's some people over there that know how to barbecue a good beaver. And you just need to talk to the right folks. I guarantee you they get you one probably next week.
All right.
It's the best pulled pork you'll have that ain't pork.
You eat the tail too, yeah?
Well, that's
Oh, you
that's
eat the
mostly
tail,
fat.
Russ?
The tail's mostly fat.
So
Off of
Russ,
off of beaver, you know, you got the rump. The rump is good, and then the straps are good.
I can't.
I'm gonna piss my pants.
Oh my god, I'm gonna
Hey, we
cry
told you
here.
to go pee when you had to go pee.
Hey,
You're like,
listen, the Bass and Bruce is brought to you by Rus Snyders pulled pork, where they're gonna eat your beaver and your rump.
and improve your day.
Russ is laughing, but this
shit.
is when he loses all his sponsorships. Right
Yeah. There goes those fucking free rods, Russ. Next time on, Russ is gonna be like, "Well, I'm paying for rods now."
Next podcast, they're like, Russ, do you want to thank anybody? He's like, I would thank iRod, but fuck Bats and Bruce. Oh
Hey,
my
Russ,
god.
do you eat largemouth bass?
Oh,
I
we
have
talked-
once. I've eaten
Yeah.
smallmouth bass more.
He loves the smallmouth, which is different because nobody ever calls that one out. So
Yeah, no, yeah, we've never.
Yeah,
had
you are the
anybody
first
that's
one.
Like, yeah. Look, we eat a lot of shit on this podcast.
we do. We do. All right, we're gonna get, and it's another food question, but this is actually the most
is
important
it.
one.
This
Paul,
is it.
play the special music for it.
Chicka chicka wah wah remix.
That's the
Wrong
first
one.
time I've ever asked for him.
Whoop. Well, hold on.
Oh. Yeah, okay.
They call me the Houdini of weenies.
Yeah, we don't have special music for it. We got to figure that out.
Oh shit!
on.
There we
Oh. There it is.
There we go. Damn! Look, there's like 8 buttons on this motherfucker, and I can't ever remember
You
which one.
didn't press the right one now.
All right,
That's what
Russ.
she said.
So it's, as
On your
As
Tempur-Pedic
judgmental.
fucking winning check bed. Wrong button, Russ.
as judgmental as they're going to be on these questions, this is the one that is really made or break folk. So, every great fisherman loves a sandwich. What are your top 3 sandwich proteins? got deep thought on this one. If you guys aren't watching on YouTube,
Turkey,
turkey.
roast beef,
My man.
and beaver.
Oh, this is the
Fuck
first
yes.
one that's ever said beaver.
Yep. No fucking shit.
Nobody
We're gonna...
has ever said beaver. And I'm
Listen.
disappointed in all the previous guests. This is like episode 130 something.
180 something, actually.
This is first beaver. I'm proud of you. You didn't say fucking spinach, beans, or cheese. And those have all three. Those have all three been
That's
said
a
on this
protein.
podcast.
Tofu has.
Not a big fan of the tofu.
Has that been said?
Not to my
Did
knowledge,
Bailey
not to my
say
remembrance.
tofu? He
No,
had
says
to have.
Yeah, he says spinach, tofu, and bread. A bread
Honestly,
sandwich.
yeah,
The worst was fucking beans.
that's the new one. So
Beans
Russ,
don't belong on a sandwich unless it's
so Russ, because we know you don't
chili.
listen to the show. Dark Horse Tackle said
Sachet.
said fucking black
Beans.
beans.
Just black beans.
Shane
a
Lamont.
Huh?
Shane. You said Shane?
No. His name is Zach, but it's
Zach.
spelled Z
okay.
E
It's
C
Zachary.
H E with a trill over the E.
Yeah, he's like a
Sachet.
big Ohio
French?
Amish dude.
No,
Okay.
he's Amish.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, he was Amish.
Yeah.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. That motherfucker said black beans.
He said black beans, but he had no explanation until
He just said black
afterwards.
beans.
Until like the backlash from the fans, where he all of a sudden backpedaled and was like, "I'm talking about like a black bean patty." And we're like, "Fuck
He
you!
said black
You didn't
beans.
say that shit." And then he sent me a lot of text messages of wet beans on bread, which is really, honestly, I'd rather receive pictures of Russ's dick than pictures of black beans on wet black beans on bread. It was the most uncomfortable text. Yeah.
This is the drunkest Alex has ever been on this show, where we could still understand what he was saying.
I'm not that
Proud of him
drunk.
tonight.
I'm not that drunk. But also, and Bailey Egbert had to be.
Oh,
he lost.
shit.
Russ lost his phone.
I'm back.
Bailey Egbert had to be happy about, had to be happy about that episode, because for the longest time he was number one on the worst answer when he said spinach. And then the third worst answer is a throwback to the fifth
Before
episode.
me. This is before me.
Fifth episode or sixth episode, Delirious Angler said fucking cheese. Like a fucking Neanderthal. My man Delirious said cheese. Number one, cheese.
Which, if you know Delirious, is fitting. It's a fitting answer. Russ,
We
this
said-
was a fucking great time, man. This shit was
Dude,
awesome, man.
this was
fucking great.
this made my night. I had a good time.
Hey, man.
Do this again anytime. Let me know.
We'll do it
I
again
enjoyed it.
anytime. But you know what's great about this, Russ, is you could hear this whenever you want if you actually listen to the episode.
I will listen. I'm gonna.
Don't listen to this one though. You were here. You need to
I'll
listen.
share it for y'all and all that. I'll give it a
we'll let you
re-listen.
know.
just
Appreciate the
to-
hell out of that. Now
We will.
had a
We'll
few
talk
beers in
about
me,
it.
so.
But it was awesome. Thanks for being honest with us too, as being
Yeah.
$84.6 million fisherman. I'm glad that you could break down some secrets.
I enjoyed it, guys.
Awesome.
Hey,
And then
Alex, what were you gonna say?
no. So real
Hey,
quick,
Alex,
so Paul,
I'm just kidding. Go
I
ahead.
sent this in the show notes, Paul.
All right,
Anyways, so we have a huge
go
promotion.
fuck yourself.
Are you done? Anyways, huge promotion. This is for all you brewskis. I want to make sure that we give back to you guys. So here's how we're going to do it. Paul's going to give you a